you where it would hurt the most.
Lated.
Help us understand what you should expect in Parliament.
Dunia anajifananisha na Ibilisi, kisha anajifananisha na Firaun laanatullahi alayhi, na anajifananisha na Qarun. Hao wote waliangamizwa. Allah anasema fabisa mathwal mutakabbirina, ni pabaya kabisa watakapoingia watu wenye sifa ya kibri.
Kwa hivyo naomba na pia nawe tumuombe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aweze kutuongoza na kutuepusha na vitimbi vya Iblis laanatullahi alayhi.
Waddu'a wal-layli idha saja ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma qala.
Songea tukupashe na zile ambavyo vitakupa tabasamu tosha.
Hana mapenzi wala mahaba, mtoto mbaya sana huyu.
What did you just say? Sio tamthilia tu.
And why you're saying that
Ni tamthilia tosha.
Alinishika hivi. What?
Sio burudani tu, ni burudani tosha.
It is the day that the Lord has made.
Na sinema bomba.
Enda kabisa kama uelewi kitu inafaa uelewe.
Na mada za kusisimua. KBC Channel 1, shirika la utangazaji Kenya.
wewe mzee ndio mshtakiwa kwanza.
Hatugombani mzee.
Nilikuwa napatia discipline mtoto yako na mtoto yangu.
So in short unasema wewe ndio government.
Why do you talk like a hippo?
Hiyo ni swali gani hiyo?
Si aliniita politosa na mimi nimuite hippo. Hiyo si ni ndapelekana.
Unaishi na nani?
Madela na Mokoro.
Madela
na Mokoro.
Makoro ndio nani?
Madela na Mokoro ndio nani?
Mimi ni genius kama wewe, si kweli? Syllabus ilikuwa gani?
KBC kuchora.
Pisha. Sina swali lingine. She's a genius.
Wewe nikuulize, hao watoto walikuwa wako?
Hakuna.
Na pilipili usioila inakuasia nini?
Hakuna.
Ulikuja kushuhudia nini hapo?
Kushuhudia upiganaji.
Upiganaji, nani alikuwa anapiga mwingine?
Mzee inapiga mtoto.
Now, this now the real deal. Good morning. That happened. You know, each and every morning you wake up, everybody usually have that, you know, deep voice and some kind of heavy start. So that's how the system was. But nonetheless, it has gone through warm up, and now we are ready to go. Good morning, my name is Victor Lo. Today is 29th day of September, and the President is expected to address the joint sitting of both Parliament and the Senate as dictated by the Constitution, being the first sitting of this 13th Parliament. And I'll be having a discussion with the two legislators here in studio. That is Kitut North MP, as well as Honorable Orsotsi, who is now the Vihiga Senator, for us to understand what you should expect during that sitting. But you can also keep talking on our social media platforms so that you can tell us what you should expect in the President's first speech to the nation. Welcome. My name is Victor Lo. Jen, she's looking pretty. Look at that. Boom.
Okay, top of the morning, matching our set. Yes. Loyalty. This is what loyalty looks like. Top of the morning to you, and welcome once again to the program. As rightfully mentioned, this is Good Morning Kenya. We are glad that you have chosen to start your morning with us right here on KBC Channel 1. My name is Jade Wamboi. Remember, our social media platforms remain up and running. At KBC Channel 1 is our official station handle. Official hashtag remains to be hashtag Good Morning Kenya. And of course, our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. Welcome once again. Doreen.
Yes, and even let's talk about a lot happening in our country today with that sitting that is supposed to be opened by the President. Also, a lot is happening beyond our borders, and today is a very big day for Rwanda, given the fact that it is the first trial, which commences today, of Felician Kabuga. He is touted as the biggest financier of the 1994 genocide war in Rwanda. In fact, the April 6, 1994, that killed over 1 million people in that country at that time. And you can remember that Rwanda had a population of 6 million as of then. So when you look at the percentage, or better still, the number of people that lost their lives as a result of that, quite a number of them. In fact, there was a time whereby he was believed to be in Kenya, and even a local media did a story on him, but later on they realized that it wasn't really quite him. So really, today is really a big day for that particular country, and also knowing fully well that Rwanda is a member of the East African community clearly just shows you that matters and issues that affect them are also of key interest to us as a country as well as Kenyans. And again, remember that also 28 years later, there are those that are still seeking for justice. So we'll see how that will pan out, and indeed if justice is going to be served for the millions that lost their lives. Many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arange Okello. Regina.
Now, being the 29th of September 2022, I want to take this moment and deviate a little bit from what is making news in as far as the local scene, regional matters and global matters are concerned. And this morning, I want to celebrate a colleague who became a friend over the years and a confidant that I still hold dear. She is one among the colleagues who welcomed me to this show, Good Morning Kenya, as a newbie from the newsroom and business defined to be precise. I'm celebrating none other than our colleague Jane Wamboi, who is hosting her very last show on Good Morning Kenya this morning. Now, to me, she's a friend to you. She has informed you and entertained you in equal measure. So as you present your last show, Lady Jane, I'd want to toss to you. Unfortunately, it's a breakfast show. We'll not have champagne on the show, but yes. I'd want to enjoin Victor, Jane, and the rest of the crew behind the scenes. And this is what we're going to do. Hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hip, hip. Onwards, upwards, Jane. It's been a pleasure hosting alongside you.
You're going to start a tear fest here.
Good morning. We're not having any tears. You cannot be looking all glam on your last show and also share some tears. So you can get us on Twitter. What is your message to Jane as she embarks on her journey elsewhere? And it has been a very good journey, so to speak, especially for those who have interacted with her on a personal level. I speak for many who couldn't have an opportunity to actually say this on live television, and that's the beauty of having friends on national broadcaster, isn't it? Well, now let's shift focus to the stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours, and this is a welcome relief where more than 4 million Kenyans blacklisted by the Credit Reference Bureau will be pardoned in November this year. President William Ruto has said the move is aimed at allowing more Kenyans to service their loans and access more loans. Credit reference bureaus have come under sharp criticism by various quarters for rushing to blacklist Kenyans who face difficulties in servicing their loans. It seems we'll still get those details on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. Now, President Dr. William Ruto has delegated the office of his deputy Rigathi Gachagua to handle drought risk management, a role previously handled by the office of the president. Ruto says the move will enable proper coordination and efficiency in the distribution of resources. He said this will help counter duplication of duties by government entities. President Ruto said county and national governments will also work with the development partners in addressing issues related to drought. The president made the remarks during a meeting with the Kenya Drought Humanitarian Partner Response Update. As is, over 20 counties are dealing with the rigorous effects of drought, and humanitarian assistance has been issued both from the government as well as private sector. Now, Lands, Housing and Urban Development nominee to the cabinet, Zachary Njero, says he will expedite digitization of regional lands registries across the country once confirmed to the post. His tourism, wildlife and heritage counterpart, Penina Malonza, on the other hand, says she will focus on reviving the tourism sector and resolution of the human-wildlife conflict.
For Zachary Njero, a 55-year-old born in Bondeni, a popular slum in Nakuru County, the work is clearly cut out. His immediate priorities as Lands Cabinet Secretary will be the digitization of regional lands registries across the country to ease the process of purchasing and acquiring land.
It's very hard to interfere with technology, especially mtu yoyote. Lakini hapo awali mambo ya manual kumekuwa na hiyo shida. Unapata file pale hivyo ni physical. Kwa hivyo hata kuificha ni rahisi.
Njero, who has participated in a slum upgrade program in Nakuru during his stint as Nakuru East Sub-County Administrator in the first county government, says once cleared by the Appointments Committee, he will work to resolve land-related conflicts in the country in his long-time desire to be part of programs that complement efforts to enhance peace for rapid development across the country.
Unajua katika katiba hakuna mahali ambapo cartels wanatajwa ama wanakubaliwa kuwa. Kwa hivyo ni sisi wenyewe tumekubalia waje. Kwa hivyo jambo la kwanza ni make sure that our officers wetu wanafanya kazi inavyopaswa. Cartels wanakuja wakati officers wanakuwa na upungufu wa kufanya kazi. Lakini tukifanya kazi wote jinsi ambavyo inahitajika, then hatutahitaji kuwa nao cartels pale.
In Kitui County, supporters of President William Ruto's party UDA, led by aspirants who vied under the ticket in the last elections, have welcomed the appointment of Penina Malonza as the Cabinet Secretary nominee for Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage. While thanking President Ruto for settling for Malonza and Monica Juma, the President's National Security Advisor, the supporters say the larger Ukambani region is ready to chart a new political and development path.
Malonza becomes the first person from Kitui South ever to be appointed a cabinet secretary since independence. Congratulations, Waziri.
Thank you.
We also applaud President Ruto for the selection of our very own Ambassador Monica Juma as Advisor National Security Affairs. Your Excellency, these two are women from Kitui County, and this asserts your commitment to giving the women of this country eminence in your leadership.
We have a government in place, which is a government wielding power, which is a government going to share resources. That is a government we expect the Kamba community to get development from. We have a cabinet secretary standing next to us. We have an elected UDA member of parliament. People who can call, people who can reach the president on a daily basis.
Malonza, on her part, says her priority, once confirmed, will be the revival of tourism heavily battered by the COVID-19 pandemic and the resolution of human-wildlife conflict.
And I must say that I'm coming in a time when it has subsided, and therefore I would endeavor to encourage majority of our other nations to visit and improve on what I believe in, local tourism. That is Kenyans, East Africa, to visit this, because indeed Africans are not very good tourists within their own countries, and therefore I will be encouraging that a lot. On insecurity, I think I had talked about conflict between wildlife and human, and it is happening all over across the country. Masai Mara, it's happening in Safo East, where I come from.
We will soon be doing detailed reports to just help you understand the 22 nominees under Ruto's administration ahead of the debate in Parliament that may actually see them either ascend to those posts or not. Now, the 13th Parliament will officially start business today with the address of the joint sitting of both houses by President William Ruto. After the address, the House will reconvene on the 4th of October to debate the President's speech for 7 days.
The speakers of both the National Assembly and the Senate in a notice announced that the 13th Parliament joint sitting will take place on Thursday at 2:30 p.m. The sitting will take place in the National Assembly chamber situated at the main Parliament buildings. President Dr. William Ruto will make an inaugural address of the first session of 13th Parliament, heralding the commencement proper of the sittings of both houses. Members of the National Assembly and their counterparts from the Senate last week attended a week-long induction ahead of the opening. Already, there is jostling in the National Assembly on which side should hold the majority seat, and the Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, is expected to determine which side will enjoy the trapping of that position.
And come this afternoon, we're going to be broadcasting live as we have done in the previous, just showing you what is happening at the Parliament, or rather the floor of Parliament. But from 10 a.m., we're going to have a panel that is going to include some analysts as well as members of Parliament who have spared time to just try and see if we can preempt what is going to be contained in the President's speech this afternoon. Now we cross over to matters business, where the government will spend 3 billion shillings to implement the crop insurance program, and the project that aims at cushioning small farmers from the effects of natural calamities like drought and floods or crop failure. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has said the government is spearheading the climate-smart agriculture projects in 24 counties to reduce farming costs, improve productivity and increase profitability for smallholder farmers. The deputy spoke during the official opening of this year's Nairobi International Trade Fair at the Jamhuri grounds here in Nairobi.
The Nairobi ASK International Trade Fair is back after a 2-year break occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Nimekuja show mini supplier wa vitu, but according to this show venye tunaiona hii show imekuwa chini sana, sijui watu kwa mfuko wako sawa,
na tuna expect kujua venye tunaweza inua kilimo, sababu kulingana venye economy iko saa hii, at least tukijua tutaweza kuinua kilimo na pia maisha inaweza kuwa sawa.
This year's theme, Promoting Innovation and Technology in Agriculture and Trade, aims at, among others, transforming agriculture and the economy.
Agro-processing accounts to more than half of our total manufacturing sector. Agro-based manufacturing has placed us at a global competitive advantage since raw materials are locally sourced.
While officiating the week-long exhibition, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua underscored the need for innovation in the agriculture value chain to increase agricultural productivity to climate change risks. To support the subsidized fertilizer program, the government has committed 3 billion shillings to implement the crop insurance program,
whose objective is to manage risks in agriculture.
To date, the project has covered over 1.3 million farmers in 37 counties, targeting maize, Irish potato and green gram value chains. Further, to build resilience to climate change risks in targeted smallholder farming and pastoral communities, the government has received 27.9 billion shillings from the World Bank towards implementing the Kenya Climate Smart Agriculture Project in 24 counties over a 5-year period.
Assist 2 million food deficient farmers to become surplus producers through availing affordable finance for inputs and agricultural extension services to increase productivity of key food value chains, maize, dairy, and beef carcass. Additionally, reduce food imports by 30%.
Officially open till Sunday 2nd of October, organizers are optimistic that more Kenyans will attend and increase their knowledge on available innovation and tech to boost agricultural productivity.
We are meeting people who like our innovation. They like the way we are blending in the natural ingredients, which is not available from other places.
In such a regard, we believe we are transforming the world through innovation and through technology.
This is the Nairobi edition, where 400 stakeholders are showcasing their products and services in line with this year's theme that is promoting technology and innovation in agriculture and trade. For some, it is adding up. For others, they'd rather be out there somewhere eking a living. Well, that was yesterday. The exhibition runs started all the way from Monday 26th and runs until 2nd of October. You can make way there. The theme being promoting innovation and technology in agriculture and trade. Now, President William Ruto's address in Parliament this afternoon, the cost of living remains a key concern, with Parliament expected to play a role in taming the high cost of commodities. Now, I explored possible options to make the bottom-up economic model deliver for Wanjiku and the role Parliament will be playing in taming the high cost of living that has seen the rate of inflation hit a 62-month high. Ahead of President William Ruto's maiden address of the 13th Parliament, Kenyans are reeling from the high cost of living, highlighted by costly basic commodities and fuel.
Imekuwa ngumu kwangu. Maana kama nilikuwa na afford nafikia mahali unaweza enda nyumba kama ni one bedroom ushuke uende bed sit, ama two bedroom uende one bedroom. So imeni affect sana katika hii biashara yangu nafanya.
Za zile zinauzwa inategemea mafuta. Kwa hivyo mafuta ikipanda pia unga itapanda, kila kitu kinapanda.
Na kuja hapa kwa stage asubuhi hatujaweka fuel. Customer pia hakuna.
Waliahidi wa Kenya wapunguze mafuta.
To enhance food production, the government plans to expand the fertilizer subsidy program.
The government has commenced consultations with key actors and stakeholders to ensure quality, affordable, and accessible fertilizer that will be available to all farmers.
In June this year, the 12th Parliament approved the raising of the debt ceiling from 9 trillion shillings to 10 trillion shillings. This was despite an earlier suggestion from the then senior National Treasury officials that Parliament lifts the debt ceiling to 12 trillion shillings to offer the government more headroom for borrowing to finance government operations. As at December last year, public debt was at 8.2 trillion shillings.
Something we have to do out of necessity to save the budget for this year, to save the generations to come, to ensure that the new administration can have a budget that they can implement.
However much you try to cook GDP on NPV terms at 55%, we would still be below the 9 trillion debt that we have today, Honorable Speaker.
Of the public debt, commercial loans account for about 30% of external loans, while bilateral loans take up 30%.
Of the common framework to suspend or reschedule debt repayments by middle-income countries during the pandemic recovery period.
Will the 13th Parliament raise the debt ceiling? And is Kenya's debt situation sustainable?
For every 100 shillings, 40 shillings go to debt service. So you begin to ask yourself, but wait a second, what about salaries? What about medicine? What about building roads?
Servicing the country's debt currently consumes 63.5% of tax revenues.
We are chained to many debts. 65% of all the taxes we collect, we use to pay debt.
What of development projects and economic recovery?
We'll put brakes on unbudgeted projects. In fact, that is the biggest source of our problem. Projects that are not within the budget, so that we cannot keep our fiscal deficit at what we have committed, 5% or 5.9%.
According to audit firm PKF Consulting, development projects worth over 9 trillion shillings remain stalled, among them roads, office blocks, dams and irrigation projects, schools and hospitals, and is denying the country the benefits envisioned by these projects.
Amount of debt we procured, the places that debt was put in terms of the spending priorities have not been giving us returns, forcing the government to borrow more and more, to an extent that we are borrowing more than our ability to pay.
The government is torn between increasing taxes or borrowing from outside or internally. As a politician, you are better off borrowing money because you don't annoy a lot of voters. If you ask a person on the streets who is going to pay that debt, he will say somebody, but we don't know who it is. But when you have taxes, it impacts you immediately. That is why politicians prefer to borrow. They can even pass that to the next government.
President Ruto urged the G20 nations to expand their common framework to suspend debt repayment for middle-income countries struggling to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Kenya and the rest of Africa, like other developing nations, are in need of greater international partnership and cooperation to avert economic crisis in the wake of the pandemic. Developing countries, being heavily burdened by external debt servicing, run the risk of losing development aims due to the shocks inflicted by the pandemic.
President William Ruto made the economy the main focus of his campaign, promising Kenyans a radical transformation if he won. It came to pass, and now to make this a reality, his administration requires money and new economic structures. He needs the legislature to share in his vision.
Tuna vijana ambayo wamemaliza form 4, wengine hata wanataka kwenda university na hatuna uwezo, chakula imepanda, aweze kutusaidia hata vijana wetu wakipata hata kama ni kazi ya kufagia hapa town. Tutafurahia kwa sababu sisi ni watu wa bottom up, wale wa chini. Alisema kwamba atainua wa chini.
Mambo ya mafuta ya kupigia chakula imepanda sana, sabuni imepanda sana, hata kuoga tutaweza kuoga.
Maana watu wa chini wengi kidogo maisha imewakalia. So ni vyema wakati wanaingia waangalia hawa watu wa chini kabisa.
Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1.
And this afternoon, we're going to have a listen in to what the president is going to be saying in his maiden speech of actually addressing the 13th bicameral parliament. Do the MPs, or rather does the legislature share in his vision, especially in regard to, revamping the economy and the bottom-up model economic scale? Well, we'll wait and see. We cross over to sport, where 2 Kenyan coaches are among the 11 from Africa who attended the Level 1 archery coaching course at the Strathmore University, Nairobi. The one-week training program conducted by World Archery also attracted para coaches from Namibia, Ghana, Mauritius, Morocco, Ivory Coast and Tunisia.
After 7 days of training, which included an introduction to the sport and how to adapt to the coaching and handling of equipment, the 11 coaches drawn from 5 African countries were certified, an initiative that's expected to show up the numbers of para-archers in the continent.
And so we are looking to develop para-archery. Para-archery is very inclusive. Anybody, regardless of their level of ability or disability, can shoot. And we want to introduce it to the continent so more people can get into sport. Many people who cannot do another sport can actually do archery, and so it would open sport up to many, many more people.
The coaching targeted the visually impaired and those with limited mobility and on wheelchairs.
Our para-archery talent has not been tapped in this country. We've tapped into the able-bodied archery but not para-archery. So we are hosting this for Africa in Kenya here to increase the number of coaches we have, and especially to have the first ever para-archery certified coaches by World Archery.
Kenya's training of the 2 coaches, according to experienced Kenyan archery coach Tabasam Anwar, has been long overdue.
Kenya had two, myself and another colleague of ours, taking part in this course. And I have been a coach for 15, 20 years, and the amount I've learnt as from the para point of view is incredible. It's incredible. And now it's my job to disperse it, to train the athletes.
The continent has struggled in fielding an archer in Paralympic Games, a major factor that pushed the world archery to step in.
Well, now that puts a cap on matters in the headlines. Further details are available on our website. We take a quick breather. We'll be back with the dailies.
All right, now let's take a look at what you have on our local dailies. On the front page of the Star newspaper, integrity hurdle, tough road for Ruto cabinet. Integrity hurdle, tough road for Ruto cabinet. At least 2 of the executive nominees have officially been charged in court, and graft agencies, anti-graft agencies unsure if they should release dossiers on nominees. That is also the front page of the Star. I was misquoted on Shamba system story. That is according to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua after there was a public uproar on that. He spoke about it yesterday. Gisheru autopsy pushed again amid claims of family squabble. An autopsy on lawyer Paul Gisheru was yesterday pushed again amid claims of family squabbles and calls for Interpol to take over the investigations. Labs readied for Ebola testing as MOH ramps up containment preps. That is according to the situation here. All samples collected from suspected Ebola cases will be transported to KEMRI laboratories for testing and analysis. The Ministry of Health has confirmed that only 4 labs based at KEMRI have the capacity to conduct the tests. That is as far as that is concerned. But so far, there is no case reported in Kenya. So, according to the family of the late lawyer Paul Gisheru, detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations took samples of the food Gisheru and the family had taken before he was found unconscious. Preliminary findings show that Gisheru and family were at home in Archery, Nairobi, the entire day Monday, hosting his visiting father-in-law and son who studied abroad but had returned home for a short visit. So, according to police spokesperson Bruno Shioso, he said that the cause of his collapse is unknown, but it was suspected to have been occasioned by shock from the father's death. So there's a squabble there, and the family is still torn in between whether to do a postmortem or not. But so far, it's been postponed. She drugged me and stole my baby, says Kakamega woman. She says that she was offered a cure for her wound, which left her unconscious for 4 hours. This is according to one lady called Lilian Manguti, who said that the baby is now missing after she was unconscious. Now, to that story of DP, I was misquoted on Shamba system. On Saturday last week, Gachagua said that the government was considering allowing farmers to use forests to boost food production. And speaking during the official opening of the National Trade Fair at the Jamhuri ground on Wednesday, the DP accused the media of misquoting him. So that is something that you're also waiting to see how it will pan out, because as you speak right now, many people are taking that story differently. Integrity hurdles for Ruto cabinet. So far, we have Aisha Jumwa, Mithika Linturi, and Moses Kuria. Aisha Jumwa was accused of murder, conspiracy to defraud Malindi NGCDF of 19 million shillings, conflict of interest, accusation of proceeds of crime and money laundering. And on Mithika Linturi, Agriculture CS nominee, currently he was charged of attempted rape. And finally, Moses Kuria, fraudulent acquisition of 3 million shillings CDF money and dealing with suspect property. So these cases are still active in court. All right, so just a sneak peek. We'll be delving deeper into this later on as far as news headlines is concerned. Jen?
Now, coming to the front page of the Daily Nation, we start off with that particular story concerning the late lawyer Paul Gicheru. Just to add on to what you've already mentioned, Victor, he adds to the list of witnesses that have been killed or disappeared in cases related to the ICC case. So far, he is the 13th person to die in these particular cases at the ICC. His death investigations are still ongoing, but as far as this particular daily goes, they say the post-mortem examination was postponed because on the request of his parents, who are yet to travel from Eldoret. So that is just the difference in regards to what has been mentioned here. And of course, Raila Odinga yesterday urging that investigations into the death of lawyer Paul Gicheru be actually handed over to the international to Interpol, rather, to investigate this particular death so as to avoid this pattern of mysterious and unexplained deaths in Kenya, and especially so concerning such high-profile cases and his importance in that particular case. Elsewhere, 4 million Kenyans to be removed from the death list. This is a story that has been received with much appreciation from Kenyans, as yesterday President William Ruto told CBK to fast-track the removal of about 4 million Kenyans who are negatively listed on credit reference bureaus for defaulting on low payments, and also urged the telcos to lower the daily fees for some of these loans, something that will help so many Kenyans when it comes to securing capital and especially affordable loans for businesses should they choose to venture into that. Now, another interesting story that has been featured here on the Daily Nation is in regards to the expected vetting of nominees, Deputy President Ruto's nominees. So according to this daily, MPs allied to Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition have warned that it will not be a smooth sail for President William Ruto's cabinet nominees, and especially so those who have integrity issues. So according to Ugunja MP, Opiyo Wandayi, he said that the proposed cabinet, and I quote, is essentially a lineup of who is who in the dark world of theft of public resources. He went on to say that some men and women should be in jail for engaging in economic crime and sabotage of the country. Further on, going on to say that some of them are known to be known for ethnic profiling. Others are warlords, hate mongers. Men and women are battling mega corruption cases, and of course, some that are against positive change for the country. So they went on to confirm that it will not be an easy process when it comes to the vetting process. So that are just some of the stories that have been captured here on the front page of the Daily Nation. Doreen.
Right, and battle for majority slot to dominate House session, even as the President is expected to address both Houses of Parliament today, beginning from 2:30 p.m. And what you have here is that the fight over which coalition will take the majority party slot is likely to dominate this first session, whereby both factions are claiming to have the majority in Parliament, and that is particularly also in the National Assembly. But going by what the Speaker of National Assembly is saying, that is Moses Wetangula, he has, however, downplayed that battle for majority party slot, terming it as a small matter which he will rule on with ease when Parliamentary convenes, because now the onus rests on him as the National Assembly Speaker. Also, Registrar of Political Parties Andy Rito had made a pronouncement, particularly on those that shifted ground, saying that that is unconstitutional. Of course, talking of those parties like UDM, MDG being the last party that shifted from Azimio to Kenya Kwanza. But also largely what is coming out is Article 108 of the Constitution, which strictly stipulates that the member of a majority shall be the member of the one to take that majority slot shall be a member of the largest political party or coalition of parties. And on that respect, there are some who are saying that Azimio coalition is just a political party which only flaunted one candidate in the recently concluded election, which is Raila Odinga, and the others are just parties inside that party which did not flaunt any candidate. So we wait to see how all this will pan out at the end of the day, and which faction will actually carry the day to pick the majority slot in the in Parliament, the National Assembly, because again, remember that this is also one of those very key slots in Parliament. Away from that, insights into 4 Ruto allies picked for top cabinet jobs. These are the ones that really stuck with him through thick and thin, I should say, from day one, and their profiles also have been well cut out in this particular article. The likes of Murkomen, Aden Duale, Kithure Kindiki, as well as Alice Wahome, that is a former Kandara member of Parliament, just citing the fact that President Ruto picked them because of how they stood with him through thick and thin, and this is just largely also for the 10 years in which he was deputy president. And also, much as that is happening, contrasting reactions to the new lineup of cabinet secretaries. So much as there are those who are lauding the move, there are some who are saying there was a lack of that regional representation, as some are saying, going by what we have in this particular article, some even opposing this list, as they claim that some of those who are nominated were of questionable character. Remember that also there are some who really still have active cases in court, and what is being profiled is now where is the place of Chapter 6 of the Constitution in all of this. Regina. Now, all eyes are trained on the bicameral parliament this afternoon, awaiting President Ruto's speech, his maiden address there, and we're likely to be looking at what priority areas are going to be mentioned in that inaugural speech. Now, pundits opine that it is going to basically be a laydown of what he wants to prioritize within his 100 days in office, and he needs the goodwill from the legislature there to see them sail through. Looking back at over the years and how Parliament has voted, where tyranny of numbers is very key, we are likely to see that in the next 7 days as they will be debating the President's speech from October 4th. According to this article, they say that one of the issues that is likely to come up is the 50 billion Hustlers Fund. For this to be enacted, MPs allied to the Kenya Kwanza are intent on implementing the right to work law that makes trading license and provision of a trading location an entitlement to every citizen. The president also promised to lower the cost of living by implementing measures such as an agricultural subsidy program and investment in agro-processing. So far, the government has rolled out a fast subsidy program targeting several areas across the country ahead of the short rains there. So we're going to be keenly focusing on what is going to be happening this afternoon, and that is just a summary of what we have on the front page of this particular daily, being the Standard, that has also given details in regard to the move by Safaricom and NCB as well as KCB there to slash interest rates for Fuliza. Given statistics indicate that on a daily, 1.6 billion shillings is borrowed in Kenya. Quite a sum there. Then on a human interest angle, and I was reading it out here to my colleagues of camera, is that a man is in court under abbreviations EWM, and he's filed a case in seeking an order to have his pregnant partner compelled to accept his help and presence until she gives birth. So according to him, life starts at conception, and thus he should be part of his unborn children's life. That's the twins. And he claims that when he met the lady sometime in 2020 and had an intimate relationship with her until February when they parted ways. So according to him, they have lost 2 pregnancies before. He is at the same time seeking orders to have his name included in the children's birth certificates. He's also asking the court that his choice of names be registered in the certificates. He also wants the court to order that a DNA be conducted immediately the babies are born to ascertain that he is the father. He claims that immediately they parted ways in February, the said lady failed to update him on how her pregnancy journey is. Well, that's just from the courts a bit of a human interest angle. That puts a cap on matters in the headlines. Remember, further details are available on our website. I leave in the capable hands of my colleague Victor Law as he takes you through the conversation ahead of President William Ruto's inaugural address of the bicameral parliament this afternoon. But before that, we take a quick breather. We'll be right back.
I like calling myself more of a seamstress than a designer.
Seamstress.
Yes.
Hiyo ni kizungu mingi sana. Sio mimi nimesema.
Nani amesema? Let me call a shovel.
Do you feel that you can bring your very best to this, but eventually the politics would take the day?
Do not assume music. If you're in the political class and you assume music, that's your downfall. Because music can change things in 1 week. That's why they said, we are no longer scared of you. You know, you're just a ghost that cannot scare us anymore, you know?
Wewe mzee ndio mshtakiwa kwanza kula.
Hatugombani mzee.
Nilikuwa napatia discipline mtoto yako na mtoto yangu.
So in short unasema wewe ndio government.
Why do you talk like a hippo?
Hiyo ni swali gani hiyo?
Si aliniita kulitosa na mimi nimuite hippo. Hiyo si ni ndapelekana.
Unaishi na nani?
Madela na Mokoro.
Madela na Mokoro.
Makoro ndio nani?
Modela na Mokoro ndio nani? Mimi ni genius kama wewe, si fake. Sili pasi ni kwa gani?
KBC kuchora.
Kisha sina swali lingine. She's a genius.
Wewe ni kuulize. Hao watoto walikuwa wako?
Hakuna.
Na pilipili usioila inakuasia nini?
Hakuna. Ulikuja kushuhudia nini hapo?
Kushuhudia upiganaji.
Upiganaji, nani alikuwa anapika mwingine?
Muse inapiga mtoto.
Why are you getting us so upset, dear boy? Your father kept calling your cell phone and you didn't even bother to answer.
Sorry, honey, but
Well, I don't care. This is important and you can make more money than what you earn in that garage. I will be right there.
Perfect. So let's get into the discussion. Being the 29th day of September 2022, we expect the President to address the joint sitting of Parliament later on in the afternoon, that around 2:30 p.m. That's the Senate and the National Assembly during his first State of the Nation address. What should we look forward to in his speech? Of course, there's a lot in his manifesto, but is it going to be sieved to fit this particular occasion? And what should you expect moving forward? So far, we've seen him, hitting the ground running and trying to meet some of his pledges he made during the campaigns. And what should you expect today in the afternoon? I have got two gentlemen in studio, two honorable members. One is Japheth Nyakundi, who is a member of Parliament, Kitutu Church North, and Honorable Godfrey Ososi, who is the Vihiga County Senator. Gentlemen, karibuni sana. Perhaps I should take this opportunity to congratulate you. I know it's never too late. You moved from where you are, and now you're a senator of Vihiga. Yes. It was a tough battle.
Yes, it was a tough battle. Every election is a tough battle.
Yes.
But I thank God that people of Vihiga had faith in me, and they overwhelmingly voted me as their senator.
Yes.
We got votes across the county, and it's interesting because we had about 14 candidates vying for the seat of senator.
Yes.
And I emerged victorious with over 62,000 votes. The second person coming with around 25,000.
That's a huge margin.
It was a huge win.
Yes.
And I thank God for that. I also thank the people of Vihiga for having faith in me and also coming out in large numbers to vote for me.
And having the fact that you moved parties.
Yeah.
Yes, from ANC to ODM.
I think Vihiga was largely an Azimio area. You know, Honorable Raila Odinga got over 63% of the vote,
in
presidential
County.
vote.
Yes.
And Honorable William Ruto got the remaining 37% of the vote. ODM, which is part of the Azimio, also produced the highest number of MCA. Out of the 25, ODM has 10 MCAs, and then the other Azimio party have 2. Then we have independents. The second largest party is probably ANC, which is 7 MCAs. You are also aware that the governor of Vihiga is also ODM.
Who is serving his second term.
And the speaker of Vihiga is also ODM. So ODM is a dominant party in Vihiga because of the many leaders who are elected on that party.
Yeah.
So we thank God for that. And now elections are over. We have been elected leaders from different parties. I have said that we are willing to work with all the elected leaders, regardless of the political party affiliation they are in. So that we can deliver services to the people of Vihiga.
All right. Honorable Japheth Jakundi, Kitutu Church North bestowed upon you the mantle of power in that constituency. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels nice.
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank the people of Kitutu Church North for electing me as their member of parliament. Dominantly, it was Mzee Jimmy Nurongwenyi, who was there for about 25 years. And the people of Kitutu Church North decided to choose one of the youngest members of parliament in the entire Kisii and the Gusii region as their new member of parliament. It was nice. It's nice being in parliament. I'm getting to learn a lot. And I am sure I'm going to represent the people of Kitutu Church North very well, and the people of Kenya. And I want also to thank them because it is the first time ever to have a very young person in parliament from Kitutu Church North.
All right.
Predominantly, we have the old guards from there. We had Onyonka, now Jimmy Angwenyi, and now I'm here with the UDA ticket, where we have the government for Kenya Kwanza, led by President William Samoei Arap Ruto.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All the best. The end of the day is now service delivery to Kenyans who elected you, and we wish you all the best in the next 5 years. It's a tough battle ahead. So let me start with you, Honorable Sotsi. The cabinet is out so far. I think we can still start from that particular point, the 12 nominees. What is your take on that? Are you satisfied so far with the pick, the president's pick?
Well, I think I belong to the Azimio coalition. And yesterday in Parliament, we gave our statement.
Yes.
And indicated that we are not happy with the cabinet that was appointed by William Ruto. Because one, if you look at the cabinet, it reminds you of Kanu era cabinets, how they looked like. You remember those days of Sharif Nasir, Chotara, and those kind of people. So when you look at it, it reminds you of those days. We I think we had graduated from that kind of thing during President Kibaki's time and even Uhuru's time. So to us, we think that this cabinet, it was just a cabinet where the president was just rewarding his friends, people who campaigned with him. But matters of competence, experience, know-how were not considered. So we do not think that this cabinet will deliver at all because of the caliber of people who were appointed. Secondly, some of the people who have been listed there as nominees are facing active criminal cases in court. The agriculture nominee, Linturi, you know, he's facing criminal charges, rape charges. Aisha Jumwa is facing murder charges in Malindi. You remember the case of shooting that happened during a by-election in Malindi. And others who also have integrity issues there in that list. So we have promised that the vetting is not going to be a walk in the park.
That's like preempting to them.
Yeah,
so they're getting ready for you.
It is not going to be a walk in the park. We have dispatched our researchers to carry out a thorough research on each of the nominees. And the side of Azimio, we're going to be very objective when vetting these individuals to ensure that Kenyans get the right leaders as stipulated in the law, particularly Chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya. The other thing is about mismatching of individuals and the portfolios that have been given to lead. You are aware that Kenya Civil Service is one of the most competent civil service. Most educated people are in the public service in Kenya. And now you give them Aisha Jumwa to be the CS. What a contradiction compared to the outgoing CS, Professor Kobia. So it is for those reasons that we think that this is a false start for the president, and I don't think that this cabinet will be able to achieve his raft of promises that he made to Kenyans. It's going to be a bit challenge. There were also violations of the law
during the selection.
Because you see, he's created a position of prime cabinet secretary, which is fine. He promised Honorable Mudavadi that he will appoint him as a prime cabinet secretary. But there are gaps in law that he has not dealt with, because the functioning of cabinet is to a large extent managed through the National Government Coordination Act that says that all cabinet secretaries are equal and they all directly report to the president about the functioning of their portfolios. That act does not also talk about prime cabinet secretary.
Yes.
And you know, in their coalition agreement, they promised that within 30 days they are going to come up with a legislation to create the position of the prime cabinet secretary. Now that has not been done 30 days later. Instead, he has made an appointment, and I wish the president could do justice to Honorable Mudavadi by ensuring that that amendment in law is done fast before he appoints, because right now, as it is, any Kenyan can move to court and quash that decision. So I am very happy because Honorable Mudavadi comes from my county, and my people have also expressed their happiness. But most importantly, we want the law to be followed.
Yes.
So that we have a cabinet secretary who is anchored in law.
Yes.
So that one, I think the president was a bit fast in making the appointment. He should have done the basics by ensuring that the law is amended in Parliament, assented to, and then make the appointment.
Right.
Secondly, there appears to be some confusion between the role of the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua,
yes,
and the role given to Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
The clashing.
A keen reading through the roles that he announced, then you begin to see that the role of Mudavadi is secondary to the role of Rigathi Gachagua, which now complicates the whole thing. The other bit of illegality that the president made was in the appointment of the Inspector General of Police. You had him make an announcement that Mutiambai has gone on leave, and there is a new commissioner, or Inspector General of Police,
yes, Mr.
Kome, who is coming. That was an illegality, because the process of appointment of the Commissioner of Police is done by Police Commission.
NPS.
Yes.
NPC.
And is provided for in law. They carry out the recruitment process, and the process goes to Parliament for vetting. No, the President appoints, and then the names are taken to Parliament for vetting. Now, that process has not been done. So already the Kenya Kwanza team, led by the Honorable William Ruto,
yes,
is already making illegalities. And you remember during the campaign, they said that they are going to uphold the rule of law.
Okay.
And they told us that they are not going to do things that Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta was doing.
Okay. Let me get
about
on the
violation of the law.
Yes. Let me.
I know clearly you can see they are violating the law.
Yes.
And us from the Azimio side, we can promise that it is not going to be business as usual in Parliament. On matters of adherence to the rule of law, we are going to be very keen to ensure that the law is followed.
Honorable Jeffeth Jakudhi, let me get your opening remarks. He's spoken a lot.
Yeah.
And just to chime on what he said, lawyers divided on the legality of Mudavadi's office. That is on the Star, page 7. Yeah. According to, while some believe that the office is built on quick constitutional sand that can be knocked off easily by a court petition, others assert that the office is legally fortified. I asked that question here yesterday on set, and some people said that it could be an executive order, it's still in the manifesto, it can still be created. But as you come to that, let me get your opening remarks. What should you expect moving forward in terms of now the cabinet has been appointed? He said that to him, not balanced at all.
Thank you. To me, the cabinet that President William Ruto announced the other day is a well-balanced cabinet, and it is well balanced in all regions. And we want to thank him because the people who William Ruto chose in their cabinet are very competent people. Look at Professor Kithure Kinduki, look at Ezekiel Machogu, look at Alice Wahome, Aden Duale. These are very competent people who I'm sure will work for the people of Kenya and will make sure that they deliver according to Kenya Kwanza's manifesto.
Yes.
I don't want to put the gun fast forward because he talked about Aisha Juma. Those are cases that are in court, and we believe everybody is innocent until proven guilty. I believe that the Kenya Kwanza manifesto is going to be achieved using these cabinet secretaries that William Ruto chose, and us as Kenya Kwanza, we are going to make sure that once the nominees comes to Parliament, we'll make sure that we pass them, because we don't have laxity of time. We need to deliver to the people of Kenya, because Kenya has remained in the back for so long. The last 5 years, you've seen the price of petrol, the price of food, the price of unga, the price of oil is on the higher side. Now we need to keep on working, but I want to thank Honorable Sosi because I can see they've clearly started their work of checking the government, and they know their position in government, and for sure we know our position as Kenya Kwanza, and we want to assure Kenyans that this is what they wanted, this is the presidency they wanted, this is the Kenya they wanted, and we are going to take Kenya forward. You've already seen the president has already started working on like Fuliza. You saw yesterday he reduced the rates. He came on behalf of Kenyans. Normally we never used to have people who used to talk on behalf of Kenyans to Safaricom, and you saw him yesterday. They were with the CEO for Safaricom and KCB, and the prices of Fuliza has gone down. You've seen him. He has already started working for the port. In the manifesto, what he said about the port, the business in the port is back to the port, and the people of Mombasa, I am sure that business will go back to Mombasa, and everything has started rolling up.
Okay. People expected 50-50, as was promised during campaigns, the 50-50 representation. So perhaps out of 22, perhaps 10 or even more.
We're not doing badly. 8 is not a bad number so far for women in cabinet.
Yes.
And there are more cabinet slots like for devolution, which has not been announced. And we are sure William Ruto will add more women. But for 8 is not a bad number for women in cabinet.
Yeah.
That's a very good improvement from the last regime. And I'm sure women are well represented in this cabinet, and even in parliament. We've had more women in parliament and more women in the Senate. Even in governorship, we have more women in government, in governor positions.
Yes.
So we are sure that more women are coming up, and we want to tell more women to come out and ask for elective seats.
Mheshimiwa Japheth, as you've heard, Mheshimiwa Sosi said that you should be ready for a real battle in Parliament.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know the Azimio.
Because the vetting process is thorough. It's always heated and intense. There's also some walkout at some point.
Yeah, but most of these people who have been nominated are very competent people, apart from maybe 1, 2, 3 cases which are in court, and one is always innocent until proven guilty. As Kenya Kwanza, we are ready for it. We have the numbers, we have everything that is required, and we are going to pass the nominees that the president has selected. Yes.
Mheshimiwa Sosi, Chapter 6 of the Constitution, I mean, it's been a hard nut to crack. Since 2010, the Constitution is here, and even governors had to be given that extra oath to take as per Chapter 6. But now we have got the 3 who still have some cases pending in court.
You see, I've listened to my colleague here talking.
Yes.
And one of their defense line is that they have not been proven guilty. But you see, if you read the spirit of Chapter 6, is that you do not have to be proven guilty for you to leave office. So long as there are any active investigation or a court case against you, the most responsible thing to do, if you are a leader, is not to continue holding a public office. But you see, some leaders have taken that advantage of that bit.
Yes.
To act with impunity and to continue serving our people. If we are in another country, even the mere mention
would automatically block you from office.
Just mere mention will block you into office, or even your own conscience. You will just resign from office. So we need to get to that level. And I think one of the things we need to do as a country is to try and tighten Chapter 6 of the Constitution, so that some of these people mentioned in scandals, and it's not just Aisha Jumwa, even Moses Kuria has an active case before the EACC on the usage of CDF in Gatundu South. So I think if really the Kenya Kwanza people believe in the rule of law, as they told us during the campaign, then they should have demonstrated that by appointing people who do not have active criminal cases. But if you get into office and you disregard that and you go on and on, I think with the time it is even going to be worse. Going back to the issue of legality of Honorable Mudavadi's appointment, the best approach would have been that, first of all, the position should have been taken through public participation. You remember the ruling on Cabinet Administrative Secretary?
Yes.
He said that there was no public participation. And I've seen Kenya Kwanza in preparation of making numerous appointments. They have started the process. They have gone to Public Service Commission and asked Public Service Commission to lead the process of public participation. I think they just needed to take some time and do the same for Prime Cabinet Secretary, so that it goes through all the legal processes. It comes to Parliament and then an appointment is made. But the way it is now, it is illegal. You can hide behind the fact that the president can choose anyone among the 22, but let the law be followed. Because this is an administration that promised Kenyans that they are going to uphold the rule of law, and let them demonstrate that. Let them not cut corners and tell us, this is legal when it's not legal. I also talked about the appointment of the IG, which did not follow the law. And those are issues that I expect my colleague here to respond to. On the issues of Parliament, the vetting process.
Yes.
It will be interesting. My colleague here is joining us for the first time. I think it will be an opportunity to see how things are done. And nothing stops members from rejecting the appointments. And we call upon the Kenya Kwanza legislators to think about this country. Let them not think about political parties, because Parliament has to remain independent. We do not want to see a situation where we have state capture. And surprisingly,
yes,
our colleagues from Kenya Kwanza, they kept talking about state capture. We are against state capture. But now, clearly, you can see they are practicing the same thing. If a member of Parliament who is supposed to debate objectively, look at issues objectively, he is waiting to get signals from State House to do his work, then what do you call that? That is state capture. So we want to look at these things objectively in a bipartisan manner and deal with them. The nominees who don't meet the criteria should be rejected. And the nominees who meet the criteria, they should be approved. For example, I was very happy with the appointment of Professor Njuguna Ndung'u to be the CS for Treasury. That was a very quality appointment. And I applaud the president for that. But where we know there are gaps, I think as parliamentarians, we need to be very objective and say, we have a gap here. The president, please, can you give us another name? And the country moves on. And we are ready to do that so that Kenya Kwanza can start implementing their manifesto.
From what he's saying, it's not going to be easy. But nonetheless, the aspect of, now going through the process of nomination, and it's going to be tough because Kenya Kwanza is here and the other side of Azimio is also there, and the other parties. The process of vetting these nominees is going to be a tough one.
Yes.
But the other aspect of proven guilty, that innocence until, how is it going to be if one is given that nod to be a CS for that matter, and 2-3 days later you are called upon to respond to court issues? You'd imagine?
Thank you.
I'm raising this question because it's on the front page of the Standard. No easy road for hustler. Cabinet is also captured on the Star newspaper. I think this media now goes ahead to interrogate. Yes. All right, to interrogate. So it's always good to go through them so that we can go to the next one. Go ahead.
We as Parliament, we will look at the nominees in details. And if there is any issue, I believe that the members of parliament will either approve or... But I believe that we cannot crucify those who have cases in court until they're proven guilty, because that is how the rule of law says. And for the position of the chief minister for Musalia Mudavadi, that was a very good nomination for President William Ruto, because this is someone who has been in government before, this is someone who has a lot of experience, and this is someone who really wants good for the people of Kenya. And I believe that his position is validly there, because this is someone who's just in charge of all other ministries, and I don't see any problem with that, because previously we had Fred Matiang'i, who was like the chief minister initially before during President Uhuru Kenyatta's time. And there is no much difference between Musalia Mudavadi's position right now and Matiang'i's position back then. So I believe that this is just a right position, and we as members of parliament, we approve it, and we don't have any issue with that. If Azimio has an issue with that, then we'll meet in parliament and square that out.
Okay, you sound so confident. All right, let me start with you, Mheshimiwa Sosi. What should you expect in the afternoon? The joint sitting today at 2:30 p.m. A lot is happening so far. 15 days, 16 days later into office.
Yes, it is provided for in the standing orders that the president will address a new parliament. This is the 13th parliament, so he's right in order to address a joint sitting of parliament this afternoon. What is important is what he's going to tell parliament. And personally, I'm very keen to know how he's going to implement the bottom-up economic model.
Yes.
As you are aware, bottom-up economic model has worked nowhere in this world. No single country has ever implemented that model. So as parliament, we would be listening to him to tell us how that model is going to work, what are the kind of legislations the government is going to propose to legalize that model, what budgetary provisions are going to be put in place to make it work. We will also be expecting that he talks about cost of living. You remember during the Kenya Kwanza campaigns, they used to talk about cost of living. That the cost of living is so high in this country, cost of fuel is so high, unga is so high, and many other things. Several days into their government, we are not, we are seeing a lot of challenges on their end. You remember now the price of fuel has gone up instead of going down after the removal of the subsidy. Cost of unga is also still high. So we want the president to tell us what are the specific measures he's going to put in place to reduce the cost of living. My colleague here has talked about Fuliza and all. Those are cosmetic things that Safaricom ought to have done. In fact, I was in the last committee of ICT in the last parliament, and that was one of the recommendations we did when we did a study on telecommunication sector. We recommended the price, the charges should go down. And not just Fuliza.
When was this?
In the last parliament, I think sometime back in 2020. We did a study as a ICT committee, which was adopted by Parliament. So I think
the implementation is what was missing.
Safaricom has just implemented what had been recommended earlier. So I don't expect William Ruto and his team to take advantage of that. And this thing of CRB, yes, we know a lot of our youth are in CRB, but there are procedures to be followed because these are companies which have lent out money and they want to find out how they get back their money. So we expect the president to implement the tangible things he promised Kenyans in his manifesto. The other interesting thing I will want to hear from him is that in his manifesto, he promised that he's going to ensure that the 2/3 gender balance work. Now, we have just left the elections. We have not achieved the 2/3 gender balance, and here is Maraga's advisory still hanging on us. How is the president going to achieve the 2/3 gender balance within this 13th parliament? And even in private sector, even the promise that the cabinet will have 50% women, that has not come to pass. So we expect him to tell us a lot about that.
Yes.
We also expect him to tell us a lot about involvement of Mama Mbogas, involvement of Boda Bodas, involvement of hustlers in his government. You've seen so far the cabinet that he appointed. There is no single Mama Mboga. There is no single Boda Boda. There is no single hustler. How is he going to integrate these people in his government?
Okay.
We are also interested to know, he talked about the Hustlers Fund, and you know we have the Youth Fund, we have a Uwezo Fund, we have the Women Enterprise Fund. We want him to tell us what is this special about the Hustlers Fund? How different is it going to be from this existing fund, and where is the money going to come?
And you expect this to be captured in his speech today?
You know, the first sitting, the address in the first sitting, the president lays out his agenda
before the parliament.
And that agenda emanates from the manifesto that they told Kenyans. So we'll be looking forward to all these things, and particularly his agenda for the 100 days, which he promised a number of things, and we are waiting to see how those things will turn out in the next 100 days.
All right.
Actually, less by how many days? He's been in 15.
Yes.
So those are the tangible things we'll be waiting to hear from the president.
All right. Honorable Japheth, let's take a break, and when you come back, I'll also ask the same question, but not that you being the mouthpiece of the president, but you've heard from Honorable Sosi what we should expect in the president's speech at 2:30 p.m. in Parliament. So let's take a break, and when we come back, our conversation still continues. What should we expect during the State of the Nation address at 2:30 p.m.? I've got two legislators in the House. We'll be back shortly.
Who watch movies on the laptop.
Now I am confirmed you are like a lazy person.
Even the richest person in the world, like Zoga Paga, Bill Gates, they don't have enough money. They are very, very busy looking for more and more money.
Yes, I enjoy.
You want some more?
Yes.
No, Kamene. It's not much. Take that.
Guys, I am now an executive. I am taking tea from the land bottle.
Keep my dad's name out of your dirty mouth. And by the way, my dad is not rich. He is wealthy. Wealthy. Maskia.
What's up, party people? They call me DJ Cole Jax. Now be sure to catch me live on KBC Channel 1 each and every Friday, right here on KBC Channel 1 from 10:30 p.m. and each and every Saturday from 11 p.m.
You're rocking with the best in the business. It's DJ Cole Jax.
As I play you nothing but the best in throwback.
All right. Welcome back. Mheshimiwa Japheth says that his phone can't stop ringing as late as 2 a.m. Please, they also have a life, okay? They also have a life. Okay. Mheshimiwa Japheth, before you took a break, you heard what Mheshimiwa Sosi said. And what should you expect in the president's speech today? I know it's going to be more than 1 hour, and we expect a lot. The way he put it is the manifesto, the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, should be structurally captured in his first inaugural speech. That is a speech that is either is going to hit it or is going to miss it.
Yes. Okay. I know Kenyans, I expect a lot from President William Ruto, more especially on the food sector, because the prices of food are very high. Price of unga is a little bit high, and the price of fuel. But all these the president has already started working on it. More especially, if you see, he reduced the price of subsidies like fertilizer from 6,500 to 3,500. That is enough goodwill to show that the president has already started working, and the president means well for this country. Mheshimiwa Sosi had talked about the price of fuel. The subsidies were removed because we believe that we need to start standing on our own. Only 5 companies were benefiting from the subsidies. In 6 months, about 60 billion was spent on subsidies with only 5 companies, while the rest of other small petroleum companies were not able to benefit from this. We believe that with due time, we were only 15 days into government, and we've already shown the goodwill in terms of the subsidies for unga, and I believe that the subsidies for fertilizer, and I believe that with due course everything will come down. The cost of living in this country will come down, because I know William Ruto is a hustler. He's been there before. He knows the kind of problem that the hustlers are undergoing, and I believe that his speech today will dwell more on the food subsidies and the rest. And secondly, the issue to do with petroleum. I've already talked about petroleum. The issue to do with housing. He is very keen on the housing program in this country. He had talked about the housing program, that the ones that are going on in Pangani, the ones that are going on in Kibera. I believe that with due time, the price of all these things will go down.
Because at the end of the day, what he's going to set out is in his first speech, he's going to set the whole agenda for Kenya Kwanza and what he's planning to do for Kenyans.
Yes.
So far, how would you rate President's performance 15 days later?
15 days later, I rate him at 80%. Because he has already shown the goodwill to the people of Kenya. Like the Hustlers Fund. Today, I'm sure most people will want to hear about the Hustlers Fund, which we were our main campaign tool during campaigns. The Hustlers Fund is one of the biggest ideas that President William Ruto has ever come up with. The young people will be able to get loans without a lot of issues, because in other loans, you require a collateral, you require a lot of things so that you'll be able to get these loans. But with the Hustlers Fund, he will ease up the ways and means of getting these loans, how Mama Mboga will be able to get these loans, how Boda Boda will be able to get these loans. And I believe Kenya will move forward through the name of William Ruto.
Okay. During his campaigns, he promised different, pledges running into billions of shillings. So let me ask you, how is this going to be actualized? For example, the 50 billion shillings Hustler Fund every year.
We, as Kenya Kwanza, we believe there's a lot of money that goes into waste. We are going to make sure that we fill these gaps so that this money that is going to waste will go to the Hustlers Fund. And the money that used to be in Youth Fund can be diverted to the Hustlers Fund so that they can be able to help the common man who is down here. Yes.
Mheshimiwa Sosi, you've been in Parliament, and the process of allocating funds always requires a legislative process. I don't know how this is going to be so clear in terms of even allocating different constituencies 100 million shillings per year as per his pledges during campaigns. how easy or hard is it going to be to allocate these funds to different accounts for usage?
Well, as you are aware, we already passed a budget for 2022-2023. So for him to seek to incorporate his ideas,
yes,
he will need to come up with a supplementary budget. But as you're aware, a supplementary budget is not supposed to overhaul the entire budget.
Yeah.
It's supposed just to deal with a few emergency issues. So he will have to wait until, practically, he will have to wait until the next financial year, which is 2023-2024, for him to factor in most of the things that he is talked about. Now, the Hustlers Fund, remember I said that would be interesting to hear from him how he's going to operationalize that. I have read somewhere where he was saying that he's considering putting 50 billion into Fuliza. That will be a recipe for chaos, and that will be corruption. You cannot put public money into a private investment. That is even against the public procurement Public Finance Management Act provisions. So that's why I said we as parliamentarians, people who are experienced on matters of financial management and the parliamentary processes, we really are very keen to see how he's going to churn out this thing of hustler fund within the law. Because as you are aware, we have a number of funds around, and there are plans to merge these funds so that we have one fund. We merge Uwezo Fund, Youth Enterprise Fund, Women Enterprise Fund into one fund. And I think that's where the so-called Hustler Fund comes in. If he does the way he has heard him say yesterday, then he's going to get into legal minefields. So he needs to tread very carefully how he wants to do it. The borrowing, the repayments, and all that is very key. So very comprehensive legal framework is required to implement what he talked about. We have also seen the president also say that he wants to increase the statutory deduction for NSSF. That is fine. But now let's ask ourselves, how has NSSF utilized the little contribution that have been made by members of the public?
Yeah.
We have reports in Parliament, Auditor General reports, that have questioned the usage of funds at NSSF. The investment decision that I've made in NSSF have no value for money. And we cannot just pump money into NSSF when the little that has been contributed is being misused.
Yes.
I think if I was a president, I will first of all audit the money that has been put in by Kenyans into NSSF before I recommend additional contribution by members of the public.
Yeah.
Because if he does that, the rest of us on the Azimio side, we can read that Kenya Kwanza is trying to manufacture scandals. Very soon you will hear there is a huge scandal at NSSF. Because why do you want to put more money into NSSF and yet the little that we have put in there as contributors is not accounted for?
Okay.
These poor investment decisions have been made, and contributors' money are being lost every day. So we would like to, first of all, get a proper legal framework in place. We want to do a proper audit of NSSF before we recommend additional contribution to NSSF, the way the president is recommending.
Mheshimiwa Japheth, as it stands, it seems that the other side of Azimio is ready for the president's speech. And the real actualization and work begins in Parliament, because every step And every legislation will have to go through a process.
Yes,
and Kenya Azimio is ready for that.
Yes.
It must be a real battle that you should expect moving forward.
Yeah, we are ready for any battles that Azimio are ready to bring, but we want to assure Kenyans that we as members of parliament, any legislative that will be brought to parliament for the sake of the people of Kenya, we will make sure that we pass these legislations to make sure that the cost of living has gone down. For example, he has talked very well about he has talked about NSSF. NSSF, ever since time immemorial, we've been contributing about 200 shillings as a person. We want to increase the amount that we contribute to NSSF so that we can be able to increase our reserves as a country. There's no need of us going to borrow loans out of the country at very high interest rate. We can increase our contribution to NSSF so that we as a country, we are able to borrow from NSSF at cheaper rates and from within the country. So the increment that we were requesting as a country for contribution in NSSF will be able to sustain the country in terms of taking loans internally instead of picking loans out of the country.
Yes.
Second thing is NHIF. NHIF, we contribute, right now we contribute about 1,700 to NSSF. We wanted to increase the amount of money that we contribute in NSSF. You get someone who's earning about 15,000 contributing the same amount with someone who's earning about 100, 200, 300,000, even up to 6 figures. So we wanted to bring up a law in Parliament that will increase the kind of money that we contribute to NSSF, so that we can be able to sustain the universal health care that the President promised to Kenyans. And we are sure that this will come to pass.
What lies ahead in terms of economy?
A lot lies up ahead in terms of...
That is where there's a huge expectation. Even as we wait for the President's speech, the key issue here is economy. There's a lot lies in terms of economy. One is food production. If we increase the food production in this country, automatically our income will increase and the economy will improve. Secondly is manufacturing. We intend to put a lot of money in manufacturing. This manufacturing will create a lot of jobs, will create employment, and for sure will increase the GDP of this country. Thirdly is the housing program. We intend to build a lot of houses in this country, and these will create jobs. These will be able to sustain our economy. And thirdly, the common man will be able to get a house for 5,000. You'll be able to pay a mortgage of 5,000 shillings, and at the end of it all, this house will be yours. Right now, the President is giving out. They're building houses for 1 million shillings. This 1 million shilling house, you're able to pay 5,000 every month as mortgage, and at the end of it all, you're able to, this house will be yours, and you'll be using this house as collateral to get loans. What would be the criteria? Any Kenyan will just walk in, pick a unit and say, now, how would be the criteria? Because that's now where the real deal is.
No, the criteria is like...
Because we've also had the issue of some houses in Gara, for example.
Yes.
There are some scandals.
Yes. The houses in Gara, the guys who were there, their names were written down, and they were given the first priority when those houses were built. Same thing here. We have Bomayangu. If you go to the Ministry of Housing, in their website, there's something called Bomayangu. You go to Bomayangu, you apply for house, and you can only get one house as an individual. You cannot get two. Once you get one, the lottery will pick another person. That will be easier for each and every Kenyan in the near future to get a house and own a house in this country. Owning a house will be very, very easy in this country compared to building your own house. So I believe that this will be a good opportunity for the people of Kenya and the Mamamboga, Boda guys to get a house in this country.
Okay. Mheshimiwa Sossi, you were in the last parliament. Just make me understand, how bad is the economy? because that's where we should expect a lot of the president's speech to tackle and how to revive the economy, because he said that the last campaign was based on economy and issues based, but the key one was economy. How bad is the economy? You're in the last parliament.
Well, the truth is that we are doing very badly in terms of debt crisis. Our debt situation is not good, because as we are speaking now, we have borrowed about 9.8 trillion. We are just remaining with around 200 billion to be borrowed to reach the ceiling of 10 trillion. So for the Kenya Kwanza team to borrow, they only have a margin of 200 billion to borrow. For them to borrow more, they will need to increase the ceiling. And I'm seeing a situation where for them to implement the various promises they have made to Kenyans, they cannot afford not to borrow. They will have to borrow. They cannot afford to borrow. And the other alternative is to increase taxes. And you can see they do not have a clear fiscal policy. That's why you hear them saying, oh, we are going to increase contribution in NSSF. We are going to increase contribution in NHIF. They are looking for easier ways of doing it. But that will take time. That will need a lot of planning, a lot of legislation around it. So I'm seeing a situation where if really they are very keen to implement what they have promised Kenyans, they will need to get resources. Yes. And those resources can either come through taxation, they tax Kenya more, or they borrow. They also promised us that when they take over government, within 100 days, they will reduce the debt. They will renegotiate. They will do what? We are waiting to see how that is going to be done. And you see, this debt problem cannot wholly be blamed on former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Because I was in Parliament when Aden Duale, who was the majority leader, fought with us on the other side when they were trying to increase the debt burden. And even recently, just before we went into election, there was also an increase of the debt ceiling. And I saw Kimani Ichung'wah, who is a key member of the Kenya Kwanza team, played a big role in Parliament in influencing members to heighten the ceiling. So this problem of debt crisis cannot wholly be blamed on the last regime, which they were part of. But it needs to be managed. I agree with them on the strategy of renegotiation, restructuring of the loans, but that is going to take time. In the meantime, they have a plate full of promises they made to Kenyans, which will require money to finance.
So how will the next 12 months into office will be like for the president?
Well, if I was an advisor to the president, I will tell the president to reduce the excitement and settle down and work in a more structured manner so that he can deliver on the promises he made to Kenyans. When I said in a more structured manner, he needs to understand what kind of legislations will be put in place to implement what he wants. Where are the resources going to come from? Because, you see, they made a raft of promises to us. We want to see how they'll be done. They are already in the administration, and they are behaving as if they are in the campaign, making further promises to Kenyans. We want to see real tangible action through a well-thought-out and holistic approach to these issues. And that will have to involve Parliament. That is why today we want to hear him tell us how he's going to achieve this. And he cannot do that without bipartisan approach in Parliament. Remember, Azimio, we are a significant number in both houses. In fact, in the National Assembly, we are the majority party.
Which is there's still a contention.
There is, but we'll talk about that shortly.
Yes.
Maybe you can bring it up. I will explain a few things about it. So we are not a side that can be overlooked. If they want to achieve what they have promised Kenyans, they will have to involve us in a bipartisan manner in Parliament.
Okay. Honorable Japheth, when you hear Honorable Sotsi speak, you must be getting worried because you are new in the Assembly, and as a young member of Parliament, the kind of energy you expect, at the end of the day, after 5 years, you'll expect to be like Honorable Sotsi here, who started to slow down in his speech and, you know, start looking from a distance. But when you look at the first 112 months into President's office, he talked about restructuring his cabinet, you know, getting legislations done, making sure that the country is run structurally. Perhaps there is a lot more for the President immediately after his first speech. What do you think?
Thank you, Honorable.
As you also wait for them in Parliament, because some legislations will need bipartisan approach.
Thank you so much. Honorable Sosi says that we are still in honeymoon.
Are you?
We are not in a honeymoon.
Right.
We've already started working. There are a lot of legislations that are going to come to Parliament for the purpose of maybe restructuring our loans, for the purpose of building our country. And these legislations, we've already started working on them. And once Parliament starts, immediately Parliament starts, we are going to bring these legislations in Parliament for the purpose of making sure that the country goes forward. He's been talking about the numbers, that they have the numbers, they're the majority in Parliament. I want to tell Honorable Sosi, if they had the numbers in Parliament, Honorable Marende could be the Speaker of the National Assembly right now. If they had the numbers in Parliament, Honorable Farah Maalim could be the Deputy Majority Leader. But we are the majority. That's why we were able to, we managed to pick Honorable Wetangula as the Majority Leader. We were able to pick Honorable Shulei, Speaker. We were able to pick Honorable Shulei as the Deputy Speaker. And we want to tell you that we have the numbers. We will show you the numbers in Parliament come once the session starts in Parliament.
Okay. Let me just respond to the issue of numbers.
Go ahead. Now that you've raised it, you're the one who started it, all right?
Honorable Nyakundi is still a new member of Parliament. I think I will advise him to get acquainted with the standing orders of Parliament on the issue of determination of majority and minority status. The standing orders are very clear. And I don't expect the Speaker of the National Assembly, my good friend Wetangula, to divert from this. The standing orders are very clear that the determination of the majority and minority will be guided by the pre-election coalition agreements, which have been deposited with the Registrar of Political Parties. It's in the standing orders. And the registrar has communicated to the clerk of the National Assembly on who belongs where. I know when he talks about the voting power they had for the Speaker, we know what happened. We know what happened. Money changed hands. We know a few parties were bought, like UDM has gone, PA has gone. But legally, those parties have not exited Azimio. The coalition agreement are still there. They have not deposited a counter coalition agreement with the Registrar of Political Parties, because it is illegal to belong to two coalitions at the same time. So whereas they have signed some papers with the Kenya Kwanza, they have not deposited the same with the Registrar of Political Parties, because the law prevents them to do that. Because once they do that, then it becomes an illegality. I know they have been peddling around some rumors that Azimio did not sponsor any MP. But I want to tell them that, and this is point I think Honorable Nyakundi should take note is before we went for sundown recess, we passed a law called the Political Parties Amendment Act 2022 that basically integrated coalition political party as one of the options for engaging in a political party. And it defines a coalition political party, which Azimio is, as composed of members, ordinary members, and political parties.
Yes.
So you can belong to Azimio as a member, as an ordinary Kenyan. You can also belong to Azimio as a political party. So all the parties which have signed coalition with Azimio coalition legally are members of Azimio coalition political party.
Yes.
So all those people who've been elected there are Azimio coalition party members. So that argument does not arise. We don't expect Honorable Wetangula to go against the law. We expect him to make it as simple as he has said, that is a simple issue. Follow the standing orders, follow the law, Political Parties Act, and the Constitution of Kenya, and declare Azimio as a coalition party. If that is not done, we will go to court.
All right.
And we don't want a situation where Parliament is going to be held hostage in court.
All right.
If they are driving us to that position, then we'll take that position.
No, Honorable Sosia,
I'm told we have a live event coming up shortly, so I'm told we have to wrap it up at that particular point. But we'll be in Parliament, so I should be able to catch up with you later on so that we can discuss more even thereafter. All right, we'll be speaking to Honorable Japheth Nyakundi, who is Kitutu Chache North Member of Parliament, and Honorable Godfrey Ososi, who is now the Senator of Vihiga County. Gentlemen, thank you so much, and see you in Parliament later in the afternoon.
Thank you.
And all the best as you take up your roles.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
That's where we wrap it up. Good morning.
Are you a holder of unclaimed financial assets? Take advantage of the Finance Act 2022 moratorium on penalties and interests. Surrender any unclaimed financial assets in your possession today. Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. Receive, safeguard, reunite.
The construction industry in Kenya is facing a crisis of confidence. 20% of all buildings in the country will not withstand an earthquake, while 58% do not adhere to regulatory standards. And this is but the tip of the iceberg. Are there remedial measures?
National Construction Authority, Engineers Board of Kenya, and the Board of Registration Architects and Quantity Surveyors, BORACS, have already signed MOU, a working arrangement which ensures that we work together for the sake and the safety of the built environment, and that's very key.
This week on Inside the Government, we're talking to the Executive Director of the National Construction Authority, Engineer Maurice Akech. And the question is, are there remedial measures, and what is the way forward? Watch the conversation right here on KBC Channel
1. Akili, this is Akili. Hey there, friends. What time is it?
What should Akili say to greet little lion?
Wow!
Can you read the word?
Oh! Don't worry, Bush Baby. You can draw it again.
Akili, this is Akili. She has a secret. Tell us. When the sun goes down, Akili goes to sleep, and she enters a world where all the animals speak.
Songea songea tukupashe na zile ambavyo vitakupa tabasamu tosha.
Hana mapenzi wala mahaba, mtoto mbaya sana huyu. What did you just say?
Sio tamthilia tu.
And why you're saying that
Ni tamthilia tosha.
Alinishika hivi.
What? Sio burudani tu, ni burudani tosha.
It is the day that the Lord has made.
Na sinema bomba.
Enda kabisa kama uelewi kitu inafaa uelewe.
Na mada za kusisimua. KBC Channel 1, shirika la utangazaji Kenya.
I like calling myself more of a seamstress than a designer.
Seamstress.
Yes.
Hiyo ni kizungu mingi sana.
Sio mimi nimesema.
Nani amesema? Let me call a shovel.
Do you feel that you can bring your very best to this, but eventually the politics would take the day?
Do not assume music. If you're in the political class and you assume music, that's your downfall. Because music can change things in 1 week. That's why they said, we are no longer scared of you. You know, you're just a ghost that cannot scare us anymore. You know?
Katika dunia anajifananisha na Ibilisi. Kisha anajifananisha na Firaun, laanatullahi alayhi, na anajifananisha na Qarun. Hao wote waliangamizwa. Allah anasema fabisa mathwal mutakabbirina, ni pabaya kabisa watakapoingia watu wenye sifa ya kibri.
Kwa hivyo naomba na pia nawe tumuombe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aweze kutuongoza na kutuepusha na vitimbi vya Iblis, la'natullahi alayhi.
والدعاء والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى.
And welcome back. Now we are still having our discussion. Later on in the afternoon, the President will have his State of the Nation address to outline his agenda for the country before the joint sitting. I've had a discussion with two legislators later on attending that sitting. And now I have got two gentlemen in studio. One is an economist. That is, let me start with Interlude Ngugi, who is an advocate of the High Court. He's been here with us for quite some time. Wakili Karibu.
Thank you.
Karibu sana. And Dr. Joseph Rotich, who is an economist by profession, but with a lot of bias on politics. I don't know why you decided to run away from economy and stick to politics. What's wrong with you? Let me start with you now that you are on your feet. Economy.
Yes.
What should you expect in the President's maiden speech in Parliament today? But of course,
I think basically, you know, His Excellency the President was elected on the basis of huge promises on the issues to do with the economics. You talk about the bottom up. Bottom up is basically an economic approach. So I expect a lot, and you see a lot. If you for the last some couple of days, you have seen what His Excellency has been trying.
Is a huge promise.
Is now fixing.
Yes.
Yesterday he was addressing this the Safaricom and the likes of the CRB and all this and that. I think he's addressing direct to the hustlers, I mean the bottom, the lowest, the lower of the lowest. You remember during his campaign, Olo, he said that the issues that our people have been always under pressure of financial institutions, especially these small and micro financial institutions, because I call them micro because they are not the major ones. We have the banks who are actually the basic lenders of loan. But in this case, he was addressing those people who have been practicing lending behind the scene, who may not be not so much within the formal sector. So you talk about the people who have been always paraded under CRB. It is actually, when you are told about CRB, the immediate thing that comes into your mind, Olo, is that you have been victimized. You fail. So if you are going for a political seat, you will be told that you cannot pay your debts. So you are basically almost the useless man.
Yeah, he calls it either you're in or out.
It is in or out because when you talk about the kind of job that is being advertised every day, any job that is advertised, you have to be cleared by the CRB. And in any case of law, I have also been cleared. I was cleared after paying 2,500. So in this case, it is the most expensive thing again. It is a paid. It is a pay that it is a punitive kind of financial institutions. And I'm told even when you ukifuliza, if you fuliza, if you fail to pay within a short time, you are already in CRB, and CRB means it is a barrier. You cannot go anywhere. You cannot ask for any job. You cannot apply any job without it. I think His Excellency the President has done. This is actually a very good thing going forward. I think our people will be given a smooth lending, and then of course with the minimal interest rate. You remember even this Fuliza, out of 100%, they are now. Our people will be paying 50%, half the total amount, which means that even those who are already in CRB, they are now on advantage because they'll pay less than what they borrowed.
Why did you pay 2,500? Were you blacklisted, and why?
It was not about blacklisting. For you to get that certificate from the same institutions.
All right.
You have no. It was not about punishment. You are not even given free. You have to pay some money, and it's the most expensive. In fact, you must meet the Higher Education Loan Board. That is the condition. You must. They must see your taxable credibility. You must be certified that you have been paying the taxes. And then again, you must get a good contact, which you have to pay 1,000 or so. And then this one now, the animal in the house. The big elephant in the house, the CRB, which of course, according to me, it is the most expensive thing. Whether you've defaulted or not, you have to pay that money for you to get that certificate.
All right. Okay, legally, CRB is there to streamline, borrowing and lending in the country. The president yesterday made it very clear that at the end of the day, you're either in or out. But a majority of people who have defaulted, I have people who've defaulted, who've been blacklisted, by CRB, for as little as 150 shillings. Either your bank ran completely dormant and something happened and boom, you find yourself in that list. But here it is, almost 4.5 million people, young people according to him, were blacklisted by the CRB. But the legal procedure to delist these people, how practical would this be?
It's very practical, especially when you have a backing from the main stakeholders.
Yes.
Yesterday, the president met 3 CEOs from some of the major leading...
that's Safaricom, NCBA, and KCB.
And KCB, exactly. Which are the major, I would say, financiers or banking institutions in this country. I also saw the cabinet nominee for Treasury. Yesterday. And so with a proper backing, because it's all about the process of one, public participation, and secondly the process of just making sure that there's, for example, there's an executive order coming from the president which has been bestowed to him through the constitution. So it will be quite easy for the listing of the people who have been listed on the CRP. And secondly, we need to note, going political, the fact that he promised that this is going to be a bottom-up kind of an economy. And the only way to ensure that the people at the bottom are actually taken care of, encouraged to do business, is actually to make it easy for them to access loans. And that's what the listing is going to help them do. Among the other things and reasons why the process was being done yesterday.
Okay. Before we go to the main content on what you should expect in Parliament today, 15, 16 days later into office, your assessment so far? I know it will be so early to do an assessment, but hey, we are human beings and we are able to see. We are voters at the end of the day, right?
Yes.
What will be your assessment?
The major one, which is a win for one of the bodies of the government, which is the Judiciary, was the fact that the 4 judges who had not been sworn in were actually sworn in, and so he made the process easier. That issue had been pending for quite some time.
Yes.
And he had made the promise, which he fulfilled within within even 24 hours after being sworn in as president of this republic, which is actually quite commendable. We now have a new court of appeal at Nakuru.
Nakuru, exactly.
We have 4 new court of appeal judges, which means there will be justice being offered. There will be no more delay in justice, and therefore most of the cases will be cleared up. And the other issue which I would actually rate this new government on will be the independence that has been given to the police in terms of the budget.
Yes.
Giving that budget to the
for them to run their own affairs.
To run their own affair. But also the same was also done to the judiciary. There was appropriation of, I believe it's 3 billion shillings.
3 billion shillings
given, annually given to the judiciary, which basically, yesterday I was at Makueni High Court, and the facility set out there is actually huge and able to actually accommodate the people of Makueni. The same thing has been done in Kajiado County, whereby people no longer attend to courtrooms in small rooms where they pushed, and the whole process of digitization. These are small claims courts which have been put there to make sure that if you have a small claim of between 0 to 1 million shillings, you are able to access justice. You can easily go to a court in your county, and you'll be able to get your judgment and a ruling from that court within 60 days. And so the empowerment of the judiciary, the police, that has been very keen, and we now see that we have awaiting a list of nominee cabinet members, which is commendable because it basically means that work has begun. And today, as the president goes in, I know we are going to get into that, I believe that he's going to be imploring the members of parliament to make sure that they actually do the vetting quickly, so that now these ministers can proceed to start working.
Absolutely. Dr. It's the D-Day for the president. Somebody would say that, and actually, work has begun for the president. And the honeymoon to him, the honeymoon is over. It's now rubber meets the road. His maiden speech in Parliament, what do you really think should be captured in that speech that was not captured during his inauguration at Kasarani?
I think, before the Kasarani, we were still living in the political mood. You can remember the long time of politicking, and whatever was pronounced during the inauguration speech is actually changing from the belief to a reality. Because as we are talking now, this country is, the leadership is facing the real truth of the matter. Because when they entered into when they looked at the treasury, especially after taking over, we got the information that they hardly caught 93.7 billion. That was the whole money that we had. And of course, that they pronounced it, that this is what we have, the country.
It actually it was 97 million.
It is 93.7.
Of which Ukuri Atani said was not practical.
So anyway, I'm just reporting what these are just hearsays. The honesty and the accountability of the current government is something that you can look at. Number 2, the huge promise that they made to the farmers that we shall attend to the issue of fertilizers, because what they want to make this, to bring what you call the food security, and the only way we can assure that, Bwana, is to impact on the real farming, the scientific farming that will really give us the returns. There is a problem of petroleum. The diesel. Not actually the diesel fuel sector, and they also came up and said it is no longer sustainable for the government to subsidize these fuels. That was a bold step, that, yes, out of 144 billion that had been earmarked to do the same, that within a period of 4 months, they had actually spent something like 60 billion. And then subsidizing also UNGA with something like 7 billion. And looking at this, the current government saw that it was no longer sustainable to subsidize these things. And they came up and they say, Kenyans, please, let us cut the code according to our sizes. And the government has actually pronounced well that going forward, we must address issues as they are. And then looking at the issues of subsidizing the farmers alone, you see the worst problem that we have in this country is not being independent as far as the food security is concerned. And once the price issue is not addressed, Kenyans will still continue to suffer. And the main thing that we need to do as a country, which of course the country is now taking head on, is to do with agriculture. They are banking on agriculture to solve the problem of the issues to do with the
Dr. Let me just bring it down. As an economist, given time and space that find you part of the team that is drafting the president's speech and the economic agenda, the blueprint, what is maybe one or two things that you'd advise the president for us to have that instant boost to the economy?
You see, there is no miracle in this thing, Olo.
Yes.
Our economy is ailing, not because some of the problems that we are facing, Olo, some of them are outside the scope of our human nature. Talk about the drought that is ravaging almost over 23 counties as at the moment. So the resources have actually been refarmed into that department, which was not planned. It was never planned that the drought was going to affect this country. It was never planned that the corona pandemic was going to affect us negatively. So these are some of the realities. These are some of the issues that we are facing that we never planned. But the one thing I know, Law, is the government must look into the food security, that it must, we must realize that we need to be independent as far as the food security is concerned. And by having food security in this country, from our own farms, we shall be addressing the issues of the prices that has been skyrocketing in most of the places. So what the government will do, now that they are going for cheaper fuel, you overheard His Excellency the President talking about the fuel from Russia, even though some
that Kenya is able to buy direct from Russia.
Yes. So these are some of the issues that the country is trying to do even the undoable. Because you overheard some of the cheateries from some countries that trading with Russia is quite illegal because of the war that is there between Russia and Ukraine. So in this case, we need to do that which our people will benefit direct, not necessarily the perception that the world actually is looking at us. So basically, he will address issues to do with the economy, and the economy, and the economy. Nothing more than that.
All right. Eliud Wakili, you know, it's going to be like more than an hour of his speech, imploring members of parliament, first of all, calling on unity and getting down to work. Some of the things that perhaps we might not understand from here, from your own understanding, and even based from the past speeches from the previous regimes, what do you think the president is going to have slightly different from the past president, from President Kibaki, Moi, and even Uhuru Kenyatta, based again on his pledges?
I believe, again, the issue that took, or rather Kenya Kwanza got into power on, was basically the bottom up, a kind of an economy.
Yes.
I expect a difference in terms of the speech being mainly about the common mwananchi, about the current issues that the common mwananchi is going through. Basically the economy hardship and how they intend to make it easy for the mwananchi out there. The price of unga. How do we make sure that this important commodity is available to the people?
Yes.
And how do we make sure that we are able to actually lift one another and make sure that we have maybe an environment whereby it's easy to do business. So I expect him as the new president during his first address of parliament to basically speak to the mwananchi, but also the representatives of the mwananchi who are in parliament, try and push them to actually make sure that the Kenya Kwanza manifesto comes to fruition, or whatever promises they made in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto comes to life. And so mainly the cost of living, the issue on drought, there's also the issue on unity, because one, we understand that only there's a very small gap between the majority and the minority in Parliament, and I believe he will try. And
that is where the problem is going to begin, because who is going to claim majority in the superiority in Parliament?
Yes. So he's going to rally the members to unite to actually take care of the people, not look at the party politics, but take care of the people by representing them fully. Through making sure that there's legislation that actually caters for the border rider and for Mama Mboga out there in this. So there will be a lot of repetition on border rider, Mama Mboga. That will be different from what we had previously from the other presidents, because for them they never got into power through that kind of an approach where it was about bottom up. Yes.
Okay. Dr. because when the president was campaigning, you said it, huge promises, but some of these promises will have to go through Parliament, and there is a split right now. Who claims the lion's share in Parliament? Of course, for the Senate, that's a settled deal, but now the National Assembly, which again says that they're the upper house, and they're still fighting for the numbers. We heard Honorable Sosi here says that they have the numbers. The president must be so ready and alive to this fact that he wants Hustler Fund 50 billion, that he wants his projects to go through each and every financial year, which actually is currently active right now. So you'll have to wait until the next one. What do you think the president is going to do to make sure that all these separate heads in the National Assembly are brought together for his policies to go through?
I think, although you must be alive to the fact that when we talk about the bottom-up, it is not only about the people who voted for His Excellency, the President.
Yes.
It is something that will cut across. It's about alleviating the problems that Kenyans are facing. It is about every part of this country that is going to. It's not about a particular party issue. You've heard about this issue of NGCDF law, when it was purported to have been outlawed because of some injuries and all this and that. All the parliamentarians, irrespective of their political divide, they are talking the same. They want CDF to come back and run the way it has been running. Are you getting a law?
Yes.
And then when they were also talking
but at least on that, they had a uniform voice.
Number two, when they were discussing about their allowances, which was also affected, whereby after the last parliament, when they were after the outgoing of the last parliament, of course, the salary issue was actually affected by this, as whatever the body. And then in this case, they have been fighting the same. Now, when you are asked about the empowering the Hustler Fund, that will go to every constituency law. Who will not vote for it? It is not about a political divide. It's about the people on the ground. It's about the demand. And you overheard a law after the last election. You overheard the people even from Nyanza saying, "Now, Hustler, come on your way. We are together." People are ready to. People have received the new government, and whatever the political divide that we are experiencing, I'm not foreseeing a situation whereby you can say, although this part will say no to the fund, the fund will go direct to the people, and if it will be distributed within the ward level. That means every inch of this country where there is a ward, they will be voting for this fund. So nobody will, in his upright senses, will say no to the fund that will enrich or improve the lives of their own people.
My question to you is the actual actualization of
now,
that.
Let me tell you, we are coming at a time when our economy is actually at its lowest ebb.
And is alive to that fact.
That is a fact.
Yes.
Number two, most of the people, during the corona, and then the issues of the drought, most of the people are now at home. Most of their businesses are closed down. We are yet to come back economically. So, in fact, the taxable capacity, the revenue that the country will be collecting is not is not so much, because you have to tax the society. A business. You must tax what the people are doing on the ground. If the people are not working, if their businesses have closed down, where will you go for the taxation? So in this case, we are facing a hard time ahead, which we must own it. And that is why the government is disowning the issue of going further to subsidize some of these things, like fuel. It was costing us a lot of money. Now, the same resources that would have been used to subsidize this fuel will now be diverted into other necessary issues. Now, let me tell you, what we are facing as a country, as it is now, we are facing the debts. The debt is rating about 65% of our total income that we collect, 65% goes to the debts payment. So in this case, we are remaining with only 35%. We have recurrent expenses. So unless a miracle happen or law, and that is what this government actually is going to emphasize about wastage or funds. That is what something I know they will just emphasize. Mafia corruption, it is something that they must discuss, they must agree on how to tackle the manners. And then in this case, I'm foreseeing a situation whereby some of these things will be delayed. Some of the major things that was pronounced during the campaign will naturally be delayed. And then, of course, although
that would be so dangerous.
I'm also foreseeing a fact.
That would be so dangerous in
it may not.
administration.
Of course, it is a fact that the government...
Because Kenyans are watching the
government has opened up one law.
Yes.
There is no miracle that will happen to the sitting, the government, the current administration. It is open. When they say we are no longer able to subsidize the fuel, every Kenyan is listening. We are paying now more than what we were paying. When they say that we are not, Kenyans are owning. This is an accountable, transparent administration, which is open. They are telling people this is what we have. We can do it, this is what we don't have. So the issue now is to restructure the foreign debts, which is, of course, it is a necessity. Number two, another issue that this government must face is the delay in some of the implementation of the promises that was made. Where will you get another parallel billions of shillings that will pump to the hustler fund when it is not, unless we increase the power. We increase the power of we may go for another loan, which of course we are almost reaching the limit. You know, we are up to 10 million shillings,
yes.
10 trillion shillings. And if we are going to make a plus, if for any further borrowing, we need to increase that power, maybe to 12 trillion.
I'll ask you that question because the president said that we can also get money from our own savings. But Wakili, imagine you are sitting, in that room and you're crafting the president's speech. The hustler is waiting to hear what is quite immediate to the hustler, the mamamboga, and, call them Wanjiku, so to speak, Wanjiku. How would you craft this president's speech in a simple term that Wanjiku would really understand the voice of the president while talking to the legislators in the National Assembly, which is also divided? Yes.
First of all, they mentioned about the fund not being able to be, not being practical because we do not have any reserves in our in our kit treasury.
Dr. is speaking from experience because he's an economist. So
well, at the same time, let me speak as a mwananchi who has actively followed through the politics of the day, whereby the former president mentioned that we lose around 2 billion Kenya shillings every day to graft. The Hustler Fund requires 50 billion Kenya shillings.
Yes.
All we need is to basically seal those holes, whereby we were losing the 2 billion Kenya shillings, and within 50 days, actually 25 days, we shall have this amount of money. Yes. And so I believe in today's speech, if I was to draft that speech, I should actually speak of the confidence that we have in our systems, in our bodies that are mandated to actually fight corruption. The fact that we now have a new IG nominee, the fact that we have this new incoming cabinet and we have a new government, that this cabinet and these individuals are ready to work and to fight, and there will be no loophole when it comes to our monies. There will be no corruption. There will be no tolerance in corruption. And the one thing that should come out of that speech is we have had issues being raised about some few cabinet nominees who are in court for some of the cases. He needs to actually respond to some of those issues. He needs to also mention and come out and talk about some of the corrupt politicians who we know have ongoing cases and what is going to happen to them. So that needs to come out. And so out of that kind of a conversation whereby wording in the speech, and not just wording, but action in itself. If we are able to see action in some of those, in the EACC, if we're able to see judges actually imprison some of these politicians, then the Kenyans, the common mwananchi, Wanjiko, we'll be able to see that actually if the big fish are being taken care of, then as a small fish, I should not actually engage in these mageddos of corruption, but I should actually focus on doing my part. And so from that kind of a speech, then we are able to see and to have faith that the economy is very soon going to recover, because he's going to paint that picture of where the source of money will be coming from.
All right. Okay, Daktari, Wakili, allow me to take a break. When we come back, we're still having more to discuss. And yes, the speech is at exactly 2:30 p.m. at the National Assembly main chambers. Let's take a break. Tutarudi. Punde si punde.
I like calling myself more of a seamstress than a designer.
Seamstress.
Yes.
Hiyo ni kizungu mingi sana.
Sio mimi nimesema.
Let me call a shovel.
Do you feel that you can bring your very best to this, but eventually the politics would take the day?
Do not assume music. If you're in the political class and you assume music, that's your downfall. Because music can change things in 1 week. That's why they said, we are no longer scared of you. You know, you're just a ghost that cannot scare us anymore. You know?
This is impossible.
My friend, what is that expression?
I need someone who can hide, who can appear when the time is just right, and get close enough to the Emperor to then push him in.
It's clearly a sign of good luck.
Good luck?
Today, you're gonna save my son.
I don't know if anyone's told you, but you look a lot like one of Mars' old disciples who was named Echo.
You can't do that here.
Somebody help him, Your Majesty!
Contra Unit has MLW exactly where they want them, and they've said it. We've got the championship. We have the power.
They have been laying waste to everyone here in Major League Wrestling, including yours truly. Kicking down the door, putting their feet up on my table and making themselves quite comfortable at home.
They're there to make a statement. Who's going to stop them? Lawler and the Von Erichs have been the only ones who have been able to even slow Contra Unit down.
I want to get my hands on you. I want to get my hands on blood. I want to taste your life. Tom Lawler and the Von Erichs want to issue out a challenge to the Contra Unit. But we accept. But it's going to be 4-on-4.
And welcome back. We are still having our discussion here in studio with the Dr. Joseph Rotich, who is an economist, and Eliud Ngugi, advocate of the High Court. Right, there's something happening at the capital city that is in Nairobi County, Director. What's happening? very much. Thank you. That is a live feed from the Nairobi County Assembly, swearing in of all the MCAs taking place this morning at the chambers. That is City Hall, where the Nairobi County Assembly is domiciled. Swearing in, and I believe part of the agenda in the order paper today is swearing in of the MCAs and picking of their speaker. Let me just bring you in, Wakili, here. This now goes the legal way. It has taken too long. Actually, Nairobi County is now the last to do this exercise. Why?
I am not aware why they have taken so long, but I believe it had something to do with the fact that, one, the governor of Nairobi is in government.
Yes.
Being in Kenya Kwanza, and therefore they needed to maybe finalize with the events of the national events of the day before now coming back here to actually swear in the county assembly members. But also, I believe there's a ward that did not carry out an election.
Yes.
Which is Mathari North. They're actually in court, so the MCA will not be sworn in this morning. And so, yeah, let's wait and see.
Yeah, let's wait and see. So they're being sworn in, and even in that assembly, Nairobi has a majority ODM. Nairobi has a majority in ODM has a majority in the national in the county assembly of Nairobi, and perhaps this would directly influence the voting.
I think, although bearing in mind also that Kenya Kwanza is the governor. Produced the governor of Nairobi.
The senator is in ODM now.
The senator is in ODM, and then most probably the majority of the members of the county assembly are also the ODM, the Asimio. So in this case, this is a scenario, although that we must watch very closely, because politically it has a lot of divide.
Yeah.
Because that means the governor must be forced to align himself to the fact that whatever they have to do as a county, they must all agree. You see the governor, the backstop to the governor, the implementations of the promises that he made to the people of Nairobi must be implemented. And this thing must be done also through the parliament or the county assembly. So in this case, when you look at it, although this is something he must humble himself.
Yes.
And call the MCAs of Nairobi, generally across the divide, to agree that let us really forget about our politics, our differences, and let us now rally ourselves to the needs and aspirations of the people of Nairobi.
It looks beautiful.
That is basically what he's going to do.
Yeah, the red carpet. It looks actually the setup is more or less the same as that of the National Assembly. This house is not quite new to wrangles and chaos. We witnessed this during governors. Yeah, exactly. And perhaps this has changed. I don't know what you'd really think. The MCAs, because the first point of contact, even for the president, is an MCA. But when you have a capital city with wrangles, we'd hear tear gas every single day. What should we expect from these MCAs?
Nairobi law is almost like the government.
Exactly.
It has the face of the government. You see, when you talk of Nairobi, you are talking about all the face of Kenyan are represented there.
National Assembly is here, UN headquarters is here.
So everything is replicated
here.
Like the National Assembly.
Yeah.
So in this case, then again, you can also expect that this Nairobi has a lot of resources more than any other county in the Republic of Kenya. I mean those resources that are collected basically by the county government, leave alone the resources that are shared with the national government. So in this case, there are a lot of interest, there are a lot of intrigues, there are a lot of all these things. And I'm not foreseeing a situation whereby there will be darlings and all those. There will be all the crooked and the good things that will be happening there in the days to come. Because these are people basically who are different. And of course, kila moja, lazima, they have to focus on their ideologies. Those ideologies of ODM or Simio and the ideologies of the UDA will also come to service. And the governor must also stand his position to make sure that whatever the promises that he made to the people of Nairobi, he must deliver. So in this case, he has also to compromise. He has to extend an olive branch to the other part of the world, because much of what is supposed to be passed in Parliament must be done within the interest of all the members of the County Assembly in Nairobi. So in this case, don't over-expect a lot of peace. Where there are a lot of interest, like in Nairobi, there would be a lot of differences. But all the same, it will depend entirely on how the governor will actually bring on board everybody. Because he must take into the consideration the interest of every MCA in Nairobi if he has to survive.
Okay, what do you think? Because in the past it was so chaotic, and you can remember even legislation at this particular assembly, things were very slow. Service delivery there, I believe, that should be the clerk. We don't have a substantive speaker right now, so it should be the clerk of the county assembly who is going to preside over that function in their ceremonial robe, and of course they're taking their positions. The mess is placed on the table now, signifying a whole business, the house in action and taking place right now, and thereafter they'll have to pick their speaker, but currently it's going to be the clerk of the county assembly who is going to presiding the swearing in.
But
absolutely.
Now, there's something we need to remember, that the NMS, Nairobi Metropolitan Service, just is no longer in place, because with the new government, and their term was actually supposed to end upon the incoming government of the county assembly. And so what has happened is that all the services that were being performed, that had been given to NMS, some of them being roads and drainage, are actually going to revert back. From today, they have reverted back to the county assembly and to the Nairobi County government. And this Nairobi County government are starting at a very, I have a lot of work to do, because number one, NMS was getting its budget from the national government. That's where they will get their budget to actually do some of the things and functions that they were able to do in the city. We've seen most of the roads recarpeted and done. We've seen most of the street lights done. We've seen Uhuru Park and City Park, all those renovations being done. And something very funny is that there's a pending bill owed to the contractors of around 4 billion Kenya shillings, which actually now the new county government need to repay. There are contractors who are waiting for payments, having offered the service to the NMS. I don't know what will happen to that, to the people who offered services, now that we have a different body now running the city. The NMS had aimed to make sure that the Uhuru Park and the City Park and Mishuki Park are actually recreational centers that are able to add to the revenue of the county, of the Nairobi County. But now we've had declarations by the governor, Honorable Sakaja, stating that it will be free for one to actually access the park, which makes it look like the work done by NMS was actually not, would be thrown away just like that. And so what becomes of the revenue that he was working on adding the collection to? And so it will be quite interesting to see how this county government does its work. They have made promises, one of them being the fact that the governor, one of the things that he actually raised manifestos in his manifesto was that he was going to create one permit, a single permit for businesses. Instead of ending up with around 7 to 10 permits that you have to actually apply for before you run a business in Nairobi. So I am waiting to see what this assembly will be able to legislate, whether they'll be able to agree to that. There is another thing that the governor said, that he was going to work on the traffic in this city by introducing some of the trains. He had even said that there was land demarcated in some of the areas in Nairobi to be taken over by the new rail. I do not know how that will go, because it's a costly process to actually acquire land from the private landowners back to the public. I do not know whether they have the money to actually pay the private landowners.
There's a lot of work for the MCAs thereafter. Okay, so that is a live feed from the Nairobi County Assembly, and of course the standing orders of the Nairobi County Assembly state that during the first sitting, the legislators will take their oath of office, then elect their speaker thereafter. That is the first, what's the order paper. Now, the position of the speaker has attracted several candidates, including ODM's Ken Ngondi, former Gender and Public Service CAS Rachel Shebesh, the incumbent Benson Mutura, and Jubilee's Harrison Wangoro. So we have got ODM's Ken Ngondi, former Gender and Public Service CAS Rachel Shebesh, the incumbent Benson Mutura, and Jubilee's Harrison Wangoro. So that is going to be taking place during the day, and we should have a full house later on in the day. That is happening at the same day that Parliament is going to have the first sitting. So how it's going to be is also going to be a matter of interest. All right. Coming back to studio here, Dr. let me get your point on this. Without, having so much, you're coming from an area which borders, actually you're part of Mau. All right, part of Mau. And we know how the issue of Mau had a lot of back and forth. It has really costed even some politicians their political seats over time. The Nyayo T-zones, we have the Kapgetich T-farm, T-zone. Exactly. Exactly. The Deputy President raised that issue of Shamba system. Perhaps coming from that belt, how do you practice it? Because when you drive through Kericho, you'll see a tea plantation and spots of trees deep inside the tea farms. How is it practiced in that particular region?
Mr. Olo, when you talk about the forest, these are protected areas, which are actually reserved for forest alone. And I'm told that during the Moise days, they used to practice what we call the Shamba system. Shamba system is a system whereby the people are allowed to farm inside the forest. And along with the trees. You see, the original idea was that the same people who are in the forest, or who have actually encroach the forest areas which are not covered by the trees, or the trees are there, but you see, trees takes a long time to mature or low. It may take even up to 10 years or 12 years. Even more. Or even more. Yeah. And in this case, there are those spaces between the trees that what is, His Excellency, the Deputy President was, the idea is the people around there can be allowed to farm. You see, when you talk about this farming system, we talk about short-term crops like beans, like maize, like those crops that does not really take a lot of time and does not also affect the growth of the protection of the forest itself. And in this case, I think people took him out of hand in the sense that the Shamba system has not succeeded before. There's been a lot of controversies, with those people who have been actually protecting the environment or agitating to see that the environment is protected. Yeah. And of course, with Africans alone, you find that most of our people, when they were allowed to go to the forest, they ended up cutting trees, they ended up burning maca or charcoal, using the same trees that are supposed to be protected. So in this case, they ended up destroying the whole, the original purpose of it actually allowing them to farm in the forest. So in this case, stricter laws actually will be put in place, whereby if you happen to, if you are found to have actually compromised with the environment, then you will not be allowed, or rather be liable to some imprisonment for some number of years. I think people must be very clear about what they are expected to do in the forest and what they are not expected to do. So in this case, because of the problems that we have as a country, lack of food, And most of the places, of course, although you can just imagine, some people really don't own land.
Yeah.
And there is a land there is a space under the trees. They can plant those trees that can grow. They can plant those crops that can grow even under the trees. So me, I'm not seeing any sinister motive in the whole thing. What I'm seeing is a positive mind that is actually after to enrich this country with plenty of food while really solving the problem of the forest. So afforestation is key. I mean, there was a time when His Excellency the Deputy President was in Baringo. He was actually telling the people of Baringo, please let us do afforestation.
Perhaps he meant well, but the way it came out...
You saw Kenyans, this is a political country, although much of everything
and
is
I think Kenyans should understand
country.
the Shamba system and how it works.
There is nothing wrong about the whole idea.
Okay. So, Wakili, I had to bring that because I've seen that. There's a gentleman who's also sent a message on our WhatsApp social media asking of the same. So I had to direct that to you. All right. So, Wakili, a lot is happening across the country, and the president is on the road, so to speak. Let's give him 1 year. Let's do a projection. 1 year from the last point, he'll say, thank you, and may God bless Kenya. 1 year down the line, what should you expect?
Of course, we should.
Might be difficult to predict, yes, but we also have our history as a nation.
I feel like we're actually putting too much pressure to the new government and not allowing them enough time to actually perform and actually and actually do their work.
Yes.
It has just been, I think, not even over a month since his swearing in and President Ruto coming into power. Yet we are putting the pressure on him by insisting that we need to see him deliver, etc. Yet he has already done some of the things he had promised. And so we need to be in this space whereby allow him the 5-year term, not 1 year term, allow him the 5-year term, let him perform.
Yes.
Let's see whether him picking technocrats, picking politicians instead of technocrats actually works when it comes to actually delivery by the executive. And so, and then look at the two houses where we have a Senate and Parliament, see whether they are able to perform and to make sure that we have a legislation that allows the bottom-up economy that he came into power with being given to us and being a better option compared to the previous governments that we have had before. And so we need to give him the 5 years. Let's give him his 5 years. Let's see what happens to his government. Let's see whether they are ahead of time or they are just trying to impress us with the different media interviews that they are doing. Let's give them time. But I am hoping that they are able to take us to a different place. That they are able, number one, the key thing we expect from this government is to first make sure that we are no longer in debt, that we have fully paid up our debt.
Of which you said that it's possible that we can work through our own savings.
We want to see how that will be implemented and see whether we're able to do that.
Dr. is here to tell us.
Dr. is here, he can mention that. Number two, we need to see that the number of the schools and the children being enrolled in the different schools, the curriculum, the current curriculum, whether it will be able to be sustained through the 5-year period. Are we going to be able to have a junior secondary being implemented in the new education system? Are we able to see, number two, that our economy just grows? Basically, that's what I am hoping to see at the end of his term, that we be at a better place. We'll have more investors, we'll have more tourists, the price of living will come down, of life will come down, whereby the food will be lower and people in Kenya will actually be happier.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. You talked of, we've already, the cabinet is out. Briefly, what do you make of his choice of cabinet? Of course, he's picked almost 90%, 99% of his cabinet from the political class. Almost 100% politicians.
I'm not impressed by the new cabinet. My reasons being that these are the same people we have seen in Parliament before. He has recycled most of his parliamentarians and given them the position of the cabinet secretaries. Number two, the Some of them have ongoing criminal cases in court, and this is against our Chapter 6 of our Constitution on integrity, because they're people of no integrity.
Yeah.
Some people may say that you're guilty until you're proven. You're innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
And so, but all the same, the fact that you're already in court, that says something about the person. And so the choice of those individuals is actually in question. Are we rewarding faithful politicians who have stood by him, who have suffered for him, by actually giving them positions? Or is it a strategy, again, to make sure that he's in power after 2027? So that's the question right here. So I'm not impressed. There are people who would actually who fit the bill to actually take some of these positions, who have qualifications better than some of these politicians. And so we question, and I wonder personally, why didn't these people actually get selected to actually sit in, be nominated to some of these cabinet positions, and why did we have to actually reward some politicians?
All right,
yes.
Thank you. I'll treat that as your closing remark. Dr.
I think although
he's not impressed.
Personally,
as a wakili, you've had
personally, the background of any government or law is going up under a shared vision. You know, when these people were campaigning, they were together. The very original vision that they coin up is the same vision that they want to implement. It is the same promises that they promised to the Kenyans. So when I looked at the number of cabinets and having well-grounded with they were in the same political line. I think for him to implement this vision, he had to choose people who they are sharing the same vision. Because what we are now eyeing on law is the effective and efficient implementation of whatever the agenda that he actually promised the Kenyans. And for you, the best way to implement the same is to use the people who are already grounded with the knowledge, the people whom you started together. So these are, to me, His Excellency actually went for those people who are actually eligible, both capacity-wise, because they were together with when they were coming up with the blueprint of the manifesto. I think they're more suitable to implement the same constitution. As to whether some of them have got integrity issues or law, I think we Kenyans, we love what we call, we love to charge people in the court of opinion. Because some of these people have not been, they are not been proven guilty. They are still outside there. And more so, let me ask you.
See the way
these are the people. These are the people who are outside there. And not only that, talk of people who have been mentioned. Adversely. They were members of parliament in the last parliament. They were leaders. Were they outside the parliament? They were not. So in this case, if they were functional before the last parliament, and there was no, these allegations have been there. And if anything on law, if somebody who has been reported adversely in the court of law, and if today you are reported, tomorrow you will not be reporting here just because somebody are malicious has actually reported you, are we going to go that way? So in this case, I fully support the team that was actually appointed or nominated by His Excellency the President, and then going forward, we will see how they will implement. As to how possible is the policy? You are talking about the expectation of Kenya law is so high. We cannot tell Kenyans to wait for 5 years to have their aspirations met. I think it is now. The only thing that the current administration must do is to explain to the Kenyans that yes, now we may not be able to do this one. We have to forego this one because of A, B, C, D. They have to be clear at all times why they are not and why are they implementing now this one. We have other problems that were not foreseen. Issues to do with the drought, issues to do with the corona pandemic, all these things have actually punished us financially. And in this case, the current government must come out very strongly because the debt is here watching us at our doors.
All right.
That debt must be paid. And in this case, Kenyans must also be encouraged to pay taxes because that is the only way the government can get their revenue. It is through the same Kenyans. Otherwise, it is us Kenyans who will do what is necessary to enable the government to proceed with the very manifesto that they actually promised us.
Daktari, thank you so much. Daktari Joseph Rotich, who is an economist, thank you so much for coming in studio and talk to us and what you should expect later on in the afternoon during the president's speech, as well as Wakili Eliud Ngugi, who is an advocate of the High Court. Gentlemen, asanteni sana.
Thank you so much.
Now I can release you, mwende mkajenge Kenya and pay taxes.
Outside,
all right.
Outside there, we must pay taxes.
We must pay taxes. All right, thank you so much for being a part of the show. We are taking a break. Lakini GMK is coming to finish officially shortly. But for the gentlemen, it's a wrap. Thank you for watching. Haya, tumemaliza kazi sasa. Hata chai yangu imepoa by the way. We've talked. I had tea, but it's... I mean, no. Where's your cup? You're taking your tea behind the cameras. Yangu nilikuwa nayo hapa. All right. Thank you so much for watching. We wrap up GMK in style. My name is Victor Lo. Thank you so much for watching. We meet next week on Monday. Doreen?
Oh, yes. Next week on Monday.
Yeah.
Special. This was actually a special edition of Good Morning Kenya.
Yes.
You want to say why?
Jen, why?
All right. So, as we close the program, I would like to take this time once again to let you, our viewer, know that this marks my last day here on Good Morning Kenya and collectively at KBC. It has been a beautiful 4 years hosting this breakfast show with my colleagues and a collective almost 9 years of being part of KBC. So today, I say to you for the last time, thank you for always choosing to start your morning with us right here on KBC Channel 1. My name is Jane Wambui Kibera.
Almost a decade it is.
Almost a decade.
I wish you the very best. As Regina put it when we were beginning, onwards and upwards. We are always here for the win. So if you're progressively moving forward, that's what we are here for.
Yeah.
And we wish you the absolute best. May God be your lead and guide. Success all the way.
All the way. Amen.
It's never easy. Goodbyes.
It's never easy.
I remember when I joined KBC, the first person who took me for a tour at the cafeteria was Jane Wambui. We had a talk. You were gracious enough to me, and that's how we bonded. To date, it's been real working with you, Jane. The jokes, the fun we usually have in the morning, I'll personally miss you.
Oh, yes.
I'll personally miss you. Go out there. Remember, you wake up every day, so continue waking up every single day. You're industrious lady. Exactly.
And she has a very big heart. I mean, also me, when I came, ooh, Dee, you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
You know? And some of those English words that I keep saying, good teacher
came from
she
her.
was. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your kind words.
We miss you, Jen. But nonetheless, they say that journalists never retire. They just go to the next assignment.
Take the next assignment.
Exactly.
Onwards and upwards.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. So, tumalizie show.
Tushafunga, but thank you so much for always being a part of Good Morning Kenya. Remember, Good Morning Kenya is up every single day from Monday through to Thursday, 6:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here on the national broadcaster. Once again, my name is Jane Wambui Kibera. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Goodbye.
If you are a holder of any unclaimed financial assets, surrender all unclaimed financial assets in your possession to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFA, today without having to pay interest or penalties. Take advantage of the Finance Act 2022 moratorium on penalties and interests. If you are a holder of any unclaimed financial assets, surrender all unclaimed financial assets in your possession to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA. If you are a holder of any unclaimed financial assets, surrender all unclaimed financial assets in your possession to the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, UFAA, today without having to pay interest or penalties. Take advantage of the Finance Act 2022 moratorium on penalties and interests.